You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? It's a hump day, just like that. You know, I could get used to this 4-day work week thing.
Boy, oh boy.
We've been campaigning for this for a long time. I'm telling you, worker productivity would be phenomenal.
Was for us last summer. We had the summer of Miller and Moulton, the 4-day work week. We had a bunch of vacation days left and said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take every Friday off this summer.
And it worked great. And pretty much once our vacation time ran out, we were fired.
Exactly.
So it worked perfectly.
Then we got 3 months off.
Miller and Moulton on this hump day where the magic number is 1. 1. Tomorrow night, Bills and Rams. Let's get this party started, shall we? You know, the National Football League. Hope everybody got back in the swing of things yesterday. College football polls came out.
The coaches. They're a bunch of wonderful people, aren't they?
Well, I mean, at least the writers.
The writers got it right.
I feel as if, you know, they were kind of sort of.
No, the writers actually looked at their ballots before they put them in. The coaches didn't even bother to look at what the SIDs wrote down.
No, not at all. We don't even know if it was the main SIDs because they're too busy right on the, you know, right hip of all the coaches. What do you need, coach? What do you need? I mean, that's what the SIDs do at these major, you know, places. And then they, you know, say to the assistants and say, listen, over lunch, why don't you guys just, you know, have some fun over lunch and come up with a ballot, you know. And if it's any decent, I'll have coach look at it. Otherwise, I'll just sign it. And I'll take the grief afterwards when he goes, wait, I voted who? Where? What?
They don't even bother to look until November.
Do they release the results on a weekly basis per coach? Because that is one of the good things that the AP does. I mean, the AP shows everybody's ballot. And you want to talk about not having much of a life. All right. How about me spending about 15 minutes last night trying to see who voted for Florida State and where? How many votes did they get? And there were only like 8 ballots in which they were in somebody's top 25. A couple of people actually had them in their top 20, but for the most part, they were ignored. UCF only got a handful of votes as well. But obviously the big two, Miami and Florida, and boy, it's a hell of a win over Utah. I mean, they jumped up about 137 spots, apparently.
Well, and they should have.
It's a great win.
They have a special quarterback, and they have a coach that looks like he knows how to use him properly. This could bode well for the Florida Gators.
Here's a conclusion that I've come to. You tell me if I'm off base. If you're a quarterback at the University of Florida and they give you number 15, you're probably really good. That's all. That's the conclusion I've come to. That's going to be that university's number going forward at that position.
I think it's a safe bet, David. I think it's a very safe bet.
You know, some places they retire numbers and other schools they don't. And I will say, if you don't retire them, I mean, in all the years that you spent in hockey, the equipment manager, all right, and that person had a lot of power. He decided if they spent 20, 30 years with an organization, he knew who the really special players were. And if, 15 years earlier, some guy wore number 24, and all of a sudden some guy comes in and he wants 24, and the equipment manager would go,
no. What do you mean, no?
No. At the very least, I got to see you play for a year. I mean, you don't know what you're asking for. And, how about if I just survey the landscape for a little while, and I'll tell you if you're worthy of 24. You may get 25. That
In
might
fact,
be
there's
the
a
best
really
I can
good
do.
chance you're going to get it.
Right.
What's your second choice? How about that?
You want to flip it and go 42?
You'd look good in 17. How about that one?
So now I think we've come to, hey, if you're a quarterback at the University of Florida, to get number 15, you're going to have to be pretty good. That's all we're saying here. Don't know if we ever take this number out of circulation one day, but between now and then, you're going to have to be pretty good. And by pretty good,
we mean
damn good.
5 stars, and we're expecting you to be an All-American.
Right. And that when people watch you play, they go, damn. That's pretty much the criteria you have to reach. So Miller and Moulton. I spent all my time focusing on the AP top 25. All right. What'd the coaches do that was so ridiculous?
The coaches had Utah ahead of Florida. That's all. After that, I can't look at the rest of the poll, David. They come out, I look at one thing. These two teams played. Team A won. Team A needs to be ranked ahead of Team B. That's all. It's particularly, David, here's the thing. After one game,
right,
it would seem as if they should be able to pull that off.
I will give you credit. You did state this yesterday. All right, because, one of our themes yesterday was, hey, could Florida State get ranked? Could we have the big three ranked? And considering that 2 of the 3 were not ranked in the preseason polls, that'd be a hell of a start to the season. And you said, no, I don't think they're going to be ranked. And I think you even said you wouldn't rank them yet.
No, I wouldn't. It was Duquesne and LSU.
Right.
And LSU's down.
And obviously the masses agreed with you. But then you said, I don't like these polls this early in the season, but I'm telling you, Utah's going to be ranked ahead of Florida. Wait for it. So that was the first thing that I looked for with the AP poll. And I'm like,
I was so excited that the writers got it right. I really was.
At least Florida's 12 and Utah's 13. At least. So, yeah, Utah 15, Florida 19.
Right.
Okay.
That's all.
We'll say Florida jumped 18 spots in the coaches poll.
Terrific.
I mean, wow.
Terrific. Utah's ranked 5th. 4 spots ahead of them. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, that's the assistant SIDs, man. I mean, they're mailing it in. It was lunch. They had to go out and get stuff for other people. They came back. They didn't have a lot of time. There was a deadline. They were running late. They just scribbled teams down.
That's all it is.
Also, the coaches kept Oregon in the top 25. Writers didn't. Writers went, no way, man. Georgia just scored again. I will say, Oregon's lost 4 of their last 5, if you go back to last year. So let's just keep that in mind. Now, granted, they've played some really good teams. One of those losses to Utah. Obviously, one here was to Georgia. But going back to last year, for whatever reason, Oregon's, and they've given up a ton of points. So I know it's early and all that, but just something to pay attention to.
When you get beat that badly, you shouldn't be ranked. The writers got that one right as well. See, in the first 4 weeks, if we're going to do these polls, I think as a writer, you could have huge shifts. As Matt Baker's told us, 4 to 25, there's not much difference. I can't tell. So you've got to do some judging by what happens on the field. And I think you can have big swings. Like if I were a writer, I'd have no problem ranking a team, 12, 13, 14 one week, seeing them play and going, they're not ranked there. They don't belong there.
I will say both the writers and the coaches kept Notre Dame in the top 10.
I think that's fine.
Yeah. I lost obviously to a very good team, highly regarded. Number 2 when they played them, now number 3 in both polls afterwards.
And everybody thought Ohio State was going to score 42 plus every game they played this year.
Yeah, apparently not so much.
So we'll see what the Irish have, because the schedule is interesting, to say the very least.
8 SEC teams in the AP poll, 7 in the coaches poll. Tennessee not ranked by the coaches. So Heupel gets ranked by the writers, first time since he's been head coach at Tennessee. So 8.
And they're a big favorite. They're a 6.5-point favorite over Pitt?
Yeah.
It's a terrible week 2 schedule. For the extravaganza that was week 1, what got lost was teams not scheduling week. This used to be a big week.
So
Cupcake City, and then you'd have big games. Do you know what the best game on maybe the best game on the board is this week?
On the board, is it Florida, Kentucky?
That's
because at least it's a battle of top 20 teams.
Yeah, that's it. Then after that, the next closest game is Baylor and BYU.
Okay. BYU is a man's schedule this year, by the way. Not that a whole lot of people care, but tell you what, BYU throws a 9-3 on the board. They're a darn good team. Alabama, Texas, getting ready for, SEC rivalry.
That's a good game on paper with the teams that are playing in the unis and the colors and all that stuff.
And then about an hour later, not so much. I mean, Sarkisian's already saying that the game is not a, benchmark as to where the program is and what have you. I mean, he's already he's making sure that if the worst happens, that, hey, come on now, it's early. It's just second game of second year. We're still building this thing, blah, blah, blah. Arch hasn't arrived yet, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we've got a 5-star here right now waiting for Arch to arrive, but we're not there yet.
No, we're not. It's going to take a little time.
Because Arch brought 3 or 4 other 5-stars with him when he's coming next year.
Right, and they're not here yet either. So don't think about getting rid of me. I'm going to need some time. I got a lot of recruits coming. That's all I'm trying to say. Miller and Moulton. On this hump day, things getting interesting in baseball. No, trust me, they really are. Not a good night for ESPN and the U.S. Open. They had a pretty good run. Serena produced huge ratings in the first week, and now here we are into the second week. No more Rafa, no more Coco Gauff, no more Nick Kyrgios. It's going to be crickets potentially for the rest of the tournament. Serena produced 5 million, by the way. Peaked at 7. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for waking up with us. Where else but the Florida Sports Network?
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
for listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It was phenomenal.
That's funny.
By the way, this place right here.
Yeah.
Jimmy the Beef Guy. John told me about it a while back, Casio.
Where is he?
He's in Bonita. You know where Jersey Mike's is in Bonita?
Mm-hmm.
That same plaza, but keep going towards like where the gym is, where the Winn-Dixie used to be. It's on the main thing. Just a little slot. I had an appointment that way yesterday. I had to give my labs that give blood. And I'm like, you know what? I go get a big Chicago beef sandwich right now.
Oh,
it's good. Yeah, it was $13 for a sandwich. It was a good sandwich. A lot of meat. Sloppy. All right. Poll question. What do the Dolphins do this year? Who wins the AFC West? Will the Bills go to the Super Bowl?
Will Utah be ranked higher than Florida?
What?
I kind of like that question that David pondered. Will Utah be ranked higher than Florida?
No.
They are. The
polls
polls are out. They're ranked higher than them in one poll and not in the other.
But what's the one that pops up on the ESPN graphic in the game?
I don't know. Who wins more games, Dolphins or Bucks?
That I was thinking. Yep.
I can do that. What's up? Done.
Do like the Subway commercial. Barkley looks at Romo and goes, "I like her more than you."
Yeah, I think it's great.
Morning, August.
I have them winning the same number of games for the record.
I have Tampa winning one more.
I'm voting Tampa because if I were to break the tie, I think Tampa will do better than Miami. I think Tampa could be one better than what I say, and Miami could be one worse.
Yeah, Adam, we wanted to keep our credibility, which is tenuous at best. And so that's why we didn't put the Jags in that poll question.
Adam and I thought about it without even consulting with my co-host David Moulton, and I agreed with him without consulting that it would be disingenuous to have a poll that said who's going to win more games and put the Jags in unless it's against the Texans. I do have Jacksonville winning more games than the Texans.
I do as well.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. We are going to make our NFL picks at 8 o'clock. And we have the same number of wins as losses with our picks. We didn't just sit down and throw out records and then you add it all up and you're like, wow, I got 290 wins and 250 losses. I guess the glass was half full with everybody. No, 272 and 272, baby. That's how we roll.
At least we do now.
Right. I think there was one year we made our picks and during the break you started doing the math and you're like, we're idiots. Did you add this up? I go, no. And you're like, man, we're like 15 games off. What the heck?
I will say when I do it the first time, because I got sent something from BetUS that had all 17 weeks.
Okay.
Or 18 weeks rather. And
Right.
I was going to literally week by week circle winners, go back and add up each team. And I'm like, am I really going to go through this with this exercise?
Can't do that.
Well, you can.
I mean, first
but
off,
you need to seek professional help if you do.
You do. And the people in your life may get up and leave the house while you're doing it and the whole deal.
Fortunately, I have a lot of time during the day with no one around.
Well, this would have taken up most of it.
It really would have. And I thought about that. And then I just started, I had my division winners done because Pat last week said, text me your division winners. And
right. Put us on the spot.
I did it right after he asked.
I know. We had to send him our playoff teams last week.
So I knew who my division winners were. So then the exercise and I knew who my last place teams were. It was just filling in the blanks after that. Because I started this year with my last place teams. Went in a different order.
Huh. I started with first place teams. So I like that, though, actually. It could be easier going that way, going bottom up. Although you could sit there and just stare at the paper when you're doing the AFC West.
Obviously, I have that as the best division. Only one team below 500 in that division.
Yeah, I don't have anybody in that division below 500 this year. I mean, I figure if Denver could win 7 games with the quarterback play they had last year and the conservative coaching, I figure they can win at least 9 this year with Russ and a different coach. But we'll see. AFC is hard. AFC is hard. I mean, there's a couple of things I'm seriously contemplating. Chiefs making the playoffs. Not sure. And I know that that's blasphemous to say, but come on, you can't tell me that losing Tyreek Hill's not at least a game. I'm sorry, you can't do it. And we all know if your quarterback gets hurt and what have you, your season is ruined. But, I mean, the importance of Travis Kelce now to the Chiefs is staggering how important he is. I mean, one injury, he misses 3 weeks even. I mean, it could be the difference between making the playoffs or not.
Well, I think that can be said for damn near everybody in the AFC not named Buffalo. Like, I think Buffalo could get through 3 games without Josh Allen. I think that roster is that good that even if they went 1-2 in those 3 games, that it's going to be enough that they're going to get, to me, that would take them to 12 and not 13.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's anybody else in the AFC. Baltimore, we know, can't afford it. Cincinnati can't afford. I mean,
well, but I'm not talking quarterbacks. I'm talking about best player on team, not quarterback. I just think that now there is so much focus and pressure that's coming Travis Kelce's way.
And we'll find out if Juju and everything else they got there can do anything because they're going to be given a great opportunity. In Juju's case, it's a better quarterback than he played with last year, and it ain't close.
No. But to be honest, he's never shown he's a number 1. Valdez-Scantling's never shown. I don't even know if he showed he was a number 2, to be honest. I mean, and that's how good number 12 makes you look in Green Bay. So we'll see.
Yeah, he'll see a lot more doubles this year.
Oh.
And no one spaces the field like Tyreek Hill.
No, I saw the Chiefs a lot the last 2 years. And it's whenever they needed a completion, it was a very simple formation. They lined them up next to one another. One guy cleared out, one guy hooked underneath. Somebody was open.
Good luck.
I mean, you couldn't single cover them, so they line up on the same side. A lot of times that meant a zone. It was just unless Mahomes was on his back, it was a first down.
Well, and the key there is how is Mahomes, I don't know if it's in more of a set offense, but you know what I mean. His ability to improvise and what he could do with both Hill and Kelsey, are they going to have to be more on paper than creativity?
Less freelancing, you would think, because obviously Mahomes starts running around, he could point at Tyreek and basically be like, just start running. I'll get it to you. So I got to think it affects them. I'm really concerned about the Patriots. I mean, I got to be honest. I don't know if that's a top 10 roster in the AFC. I mean, at what point do all of these bad drafts and bad free agent signings catch up to even arguably the greatest coach of all time? I mean, we've seen it. You know, X's and O's can only get you so far. You do need the Jimmies and the Joes. I mean, where are the good players on New England? I mean, the really good players, where are they? I think it's his worst roster since he took over the franchise.
And I have them with a halfway decent record. I don't have them making the playoffs based on Belichick more than on what their roster is.
And I'm bailing on them this year. I mean, I seriously considered putting them fourth. I mean, that's how down on New England I am. Obviously, I didn't. All right. But, I mean, that's how down on the Patriots I am this year. I think that roster needs another year easily to retool and get some more speed and give Max some help, for goodness sakes.
But our poll question today centers around two of the three Florida teams. Sorry, Jacksonville, you didn't make the cut.
What? The Jags did make the cut.
Who wins more games this year, Tampa or Miami?
Can't believe Jacksonville's not on that list. How could you not include the Jags? They've won 4 games the last 2 years.
I know.
Total. Not in a month. Total.
And I think the Bucs will end up winning this, but I think people, before they just press a button, have to think for a half a second.
Well, remember, heard it on this show yesterday. Pat Kerwin's got the Bucs as a wild card. Has the Saints winning the division.
And how much of that depleted middle of that offensive line going to affect Tom Brady?
First 4 games, baby. At Dallas, at New Orleans, home for, what, Green Bay and Kansas City?
You got it.
I don't know. That seems challenging to me. I mean, all of them winning records last year. 3 of them won their divisions last year. Seems tough. Then again, Tampa's had a couple of pretty good years.
They have.
Got a little bit of talent on that roster.
Well, not as much as they did a year ago. And I don't know how you argue it. Like Bruce Arians saying this is the most talented Tampa team. I'd love to have him sit down and explain that to me because I'm having trouble with that one.
You know what that is, right? That's cap.
That is. And what we're looking for in this show is no cap.
That's true. That's true, Mark. You see, now
Facts. One on this
that's
show.
facts.
Wow.
Yes.
I think I'm keeping up with this conversation, but I'm not sure. Miller and Moulton. The starting 5 is next. We got some big doings going on. Something happened yesterday, which had not happened since 1938. Huh? We'll hear about it next. Miller and Moulton. Where else but the Florida Sports Network?
Golfers,
Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Luca with another European masterclass.
Yeah, but the move before that one, he literally trips over his own feet and takes 4 steps. I mean,
He flips it up and in. He's going to be one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Knock on wood.
be interesting to see if he ever plays for a title.
Yeah, he will.
Luca.
You see who Michael Irvin picked for MVP?
No.
Kirk Cousins. That's
bold.
Michael Irvin's pick for MVP. Kirk Cousins.
By the way, did you see that Ashley Brewer, the blonde late night host out in Los Angeles?
What about her?
She is engaged to Frank Kaminsky.
Wow. Frank the Tank. There you go. Also, obviously, no one cares, but Breonna Stewart scored 42 points in a playoff game last night. That's like scoring 65 points in an NBA game.
I know no one cares, but the final 30, 40 seconds of regulation of Game 3 between Seattle and Las Vegas is about as well as the sport can be played. It was like the end of Duke, Kentucky. Okay, every team just called a timeout, set up a play, hit a shot.
Yep.
It was remarkable. Sue Bird hit what should have been the game winner with less than a second to go.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Insane. really hope Odell doesn't retire.
Odell Beckham?
Yeah,
No.
he's not going to retire.
Yeah. Did you hear that yesterday? The Steelers retiring Franco's number?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I was stunned it wasn't already retired.
There you go. That's why I brought it up.
I was flat out shocked when I saw that.
Yeah. But I guess it's, you know why they're doing it this year, don't you?
Well, it's 50 years of the Immaculate Reception.
There you go.
Or as they say in Oakland, the incomplete pass.
$15 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
$22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll questions already up, floridasportsnetwork.com, along with at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton on Twitter to go find it and vote. Which team's going to win more games this year, Bucks or Dolphins? Sorry, Jags. Put in a couple of good years. Work your way up to getting on that poll question, shall we? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Georgia. Moved up to number 2 in both the coaches and AP top 25, but Alabama remains the clear number 1. Gators go from unranked to 12th in the AP poll, 19th in the coaches poll. A spot ahead of Utah in the AP poll, 4 spots behind Utah in the coaches poll. But once again, the media, they're idiots. The coaches, they're brilliant. Just ask them. Canes, by the way, 15th in the media poll, 16th in the coaches poll. 8 SEC teams ranked by the media, 7 by the coaches. Tennessee, the odd team out in the coaches' top 25. ACC with more ranked teams in the Big Ten. Penn State still can't get ranked.
Yeah, well, neither can Iowa, and they don't deserve it.
Well, that's the game. We didn't bring that game up at all yesterday.
The Iowa defense outscored both offenses.
They did.
Iowa defense 4.
Correct.
Iowa 3. The Jackrabbits 3.
Right. 7-3 the final, tied at 3 at the half. Iowa defense gets a safety in the third quarter and a safety in the fourth quarter to put the game away. Did you see the local newspaper headline, by the way?
I did not.
They had something about Iowa and one other word. Both had an O in them. The newspaper took the O out of both. So
Excellent.
It was I space W-A, and then whatever the other word was, and the O was taken out as well. And the sub-headline was, no offense, blah, blah, blah. I thought it was excellent.
Well done. No O in Iowa City.
Notre Dame, by the way, 8th and 9th, respectively, in the two polls, AP and coaches. Cincinnati and Oregon dropped out of the AP poll. Oregon stayed somehow, some way in the coaches poll. Florida State did not get a lot of support from either to make it into the top 25. By the way, shaping up top 20 matchup this weekend, Gators and Kentucky. And how about in a week and a half? A&M, 6th in both polls, and Miami in the mid-teens. And Miami goes to College Station in a week and a half. Sam Hartman, great news for Wake Forest, the quarterback. We're now finding out that he suffered from some blood clots, but he has been cleared to play this weekend when Wake Forest visits Vanderbilt. That's another sneaky good team for an ACC, which is better than it was last year. NFL news. The Bears unveiled the plan. They're going to develop that 326-acre Arlington Park property. It includes construction of a domed stadium, one that would host Super Bowls, the college football playoff, and a Final Four or two. They are not asking for any money for the building of the stadium. However, they are seeking public money for the rest of the development. You know, the restaurants, the office spaces, the hotels, and what have you. Now we're going to do a little help with that. No. The stadium and the dome, that's on us. You know, as for the other stuff, you know, we could use your help.
All right.
The Bears Soldier Field lease runs for another 11 years. However, they can get out of it in 4 years, writing a check for $84 million. Of course, we have a lot of Bears fans listening because they're everywhere. And they know that the Bears throw around money like manhole covers. So the thought of the Bears writing a check for $84 million to get out of a lease 7 years early seems like a reach.
Yes, but I'm sure the back end would be well worth it for them to write that check.
Okay. We'll see. The other thing is some people are not taking any of this seriously. They just think it's all a ploy to try to get something out of the city of Chicago. But the mayor has actually put forth 3 different plans, and the Bears basically yesterday said, yeah, we're not interested. This is what we're interested in doing. Because one of the plans that she's put forth is to put a dome on Soldier Field. So, in theory, that would interest
Chicago
you, right?
playing in a dome, huh?
I know.
The monsters of the Midway.
Right.
Indoors.
Mm-hmm.
Yuck.
Now, I will say you could keep it open. I mean, you really could. And the dome could just be there for the Super Bowl, the college football playoff, and for Final Fours. I mean, you control it. It's just like in baseball. Home team controls whether the dome is open or closed, except for the playoffs.
I think USC would much rather play Big Ten championship games in Chicago than they would Indianapolis. It's an easier flight.
Bucks defensive end Shaq Mason restructures his deal. He's going to save the Bucks over $6 million against the cap this year. Well, you got to think then that they're thinking about doing something down the road, right?
Right.
Why do they need the money?
Huh.
That's right.
Tight end?
Guard, center, perhaps. I don't know. Pass rusher, maybe. Major League Baseball. Rays are 4.5 back of the Yankees, 4 in the loss column. Tampa Bay doubled up Boston 8-4. Yankees were rained out at home against the Twins. They'll play a doubleheader today. Baltimore in a must-win at home against Toronto beat the Jays 9-6. They're 3.5 back in the wild card chase. They play again today. Seattle shut out the White Sox 3-0. Seattle and Tampa are tied for the 4 seed. Toronto is the 6. Meanwhile, the White Sox loss drops them back to 500, 3 behind the Guardians, who beat Kansas City 4-1. Cleveland's lead over the idle Twins is a game and a half. I told you the Braves were going to catch the Mets.
You did.
And I said play a hunch last night. Pirates had lost 8 straight at home.
That was the hunch, because that was a plus like 175 bet.
Even more than that. And Pirates snapped their 8-game home losing streak. They beat the Mets 8-2. Mets and Braves are tied with 26 to play. Atlanta went to Oakland. Big crowd for a Tuesday night. 6,062. Come on now. We've done a lot of 5,000 over-unders that have gone under this year.
That's true. That's a monster crowd.
The return of Matt Olson to Oakland really brought out the faithful. 10-9 Atlanta over Oakland. Mets and Braves are tied with 26 to play. Technically, right now, the Mets own the tiebreaker because they lead the season series 9-7. They meet for 3 games in Atlanta in the final week of the season. Phillies beat the Marlins 3-2. 8th loss in a row for the Marlins. Mattingly's going to get sacrificed. Meanwhile, it's the 9th straight game that the Marlins have scored 2 runs or less. It's a Major League Baseball team. Are you kidding me? 9 games in a row in which you don't even score 3 runs. And that's on the manager? How about the front office? How about go get some bats? You've got pitching, for goodness sakes. It seems like a simple trade. We'll give you pitching, you give us hitting.
And they did none of it at the deadline.
And they didn't spend the money on Castellanos. Cardinals beat the Nats 4-1, snapped their 3-game winning streak. Cardinals are 8.5 up on the Brewers. Remember 3 weeks ago when they were playing? They were playing for first place in St. Louis. Right. 8.5 game lead, 3rd biggest in baseball now. Brewers lost in Colorado 10-7 and 10. Christian Yelich, by the way. I know, play of the day's yours. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. But apparently it was like the second pitch of the game and he was batting leadoff. He hit the farthest home run in the majors in like 3 years.
Wow.
499 feet.
That's a jack.
First off, you got to protest that, right? If you're Yelich, I mean, come on. It's got to be 500 feet. You got to waive the protest. Come on, I need a review. I don't know what we have to do here to measure this thing again. But come on. What do you mean 499? No way. I want a 500-foot jack. We're protesting. Let's hold this game up. Hold on. Whatever technology they got there, they're using on balls and strikes or what have you. I don't know. Call Google Earth, something. Give me another foot.
I think it was the longest left-handed home run in Coors Field history.
Damn. 499. Padres beat Arizona 6-5 by scoring 2 in the 9th to win it. And that adds another game that they separate themselves from Milwaukee for a playoff spot. Dodgers double up the Giants 6-3. Dodgers magic number 7. Max Muncy with 2 homers. Joey Gallo with a 3-run homer. Once again, the Yankees.
Leave the Bronx. He's been just tearing the cover off the ball.
He did talk about how much he hated it there. Mike Trout homered again. That's number 31. Angels in 10 beat Detroit 5-4. Cubs 9-3 over the Reds, and Texas 4-3 over Houston. WNBA, Sue Bird's historic career came to an end last night. Vegas eliminated the Storm in 4, 97-92. It was a tremendous series. Vegas now, looking for their first ever championship, will await the winner of Connecticut-Chicago because that series is going the distance. They'll play Game 5 tomorrow. U.S. Open, Coco Gauff's run ends in the quarters. She lost to Caroline Garcia 3-4. Nick Kyrgios's run ends in the quarters as he lost a nearly 4-hour marathon 6-4 in the 5th. Today, Francis Tiafoe will play at 1:30 against Alexander Rublev, trying to make his first ever Grand Slam semi, is the 24-year-old American. And 8th seed and top American left on the women's side, Jessica Pegula takes on the number 1 seed Swiatek at 7 o'clock tonight. Unless I've missed anything, which I seem to do on a daily basis. That was
the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So when Pegula loses today, that's it for American women?
Those are the only 2 Americans left. Tiafoe on the men's side and Pegula on the women's. I hope Pegula wins, not just because she's an American, but her mom is sick, battling serious illness.
It's a tough ask.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 1 seed, although, remember, she got taken out at Wimbledon in a bit of a surprise, but she had like a 37-match winning streak, and she's clearly been the best women's player in the world over the last 18 months. So, and she seems to have found her form again in the hard court season. So it is a tough ask. But 7 o'clock tonight, though, it'll be prime time. It'll be rowdy. They'll be rooting for the American.
Right. And it was, I watched a little bit of the Coco Gauff match, and Garcia talked about it after. She said, I've never played, on this court at this time against an American where they're clearly rooting against you. And you watched her double fault a couple times late. You watched the pressure start to get to her. And she was able to overcome it and played very well in the win, but she spoke about it after.
It's a huge arena if you've never been. Huge. Over 23,000 they can seat in Arthur Ashe Stadium. So when they fill it for the night matches, it is loud. And come on, it's at night in the city. I mean, they're not an SEC night game. This is not Baton Rouge. Okay. But, if you have the money to be able to afford to go to a night match at the Open, you can afford the cocktails that they're serving for the night matches at the Open. So it does kind of go hand in hand. That's all we're saying.
And you're right. The atmosphere has been tremendous. I see if it continues with the way the Americans are getting bounced here.
Yeah, if today doesn't go well, I mean, for most of the fans there and certainly for the four-letter network, this tournament's essentially over. Miller and Moulton. Got a nice show lined up for you. Bud Elliott, who is on a heater to start the season. Man, oh man, take Miller and Moulton's results, flip them, and add more wins to it.
Got to pay attention to this segment.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean the listeners. I mean me. I got to turn this thing around now.
Bud Elliott is on fire, as Marv Albert used to say, to start this year betting-wise. I mean, even he sent out a tweet yesterday that said, okay, this is not going to continue, but this has been a good run.
Been a terrific run to start the season. Bud Elliott, Seth Everett still to join us ahead on the show. We thank you for listening wherever you may be, taking in Miller and Moulton right here. The only place to do it is the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So, Tom, what are they jumping off the ledge about? Is it the Sox or the Patriots? Don't say both. Which one are they more jumping off the ledge about? And by the way, thanks for listening.
Ooh. Patriots is his answer.
Yeah, I'm really concerned, Tom.
What do you have them as for a record?
7-10.
I did 8-9, and it was just on Belichick because it could have been 6-11.
I seriously considered like 6-11 and whether or not they finished T3 or I mean, but I actually went through the schedule, and went, all right, I'll give them 7. But well, Klecko, if it's a sophomore slump, I think it's because of everything around him. I mean, first off, he doesn't have great weapons, and then his whole coaching staff left. Well, I think he's lost it in terms of being a GM. I mean, I think it's to the point where, unless I'm wrong, Kraft may have to sit down and go, Bill, you can coach, but I may have to bring somebody in here to pick the players.
Oh, I didn't send Seth the invite. And Bud, for that matter. Probably should send them both an invite. Makes sense. Adam, slow down.
Ten seconds.
listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this hump day. A day away from the NFL season kicking off. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Bud Elliott to join us in about 35 minutes' time. Did you see this news yesterday about a jersey being retired?
I did. And it caught me off guard because I thought it was already retired.
Well, it was one of those, it's been unofficially retired, but now they're going to officially retire it. So the Steelers announced they're retiring number 32. For those that don't know, Franco Harris wore number 32. No Steeler has worn it since. And Franco hasn't played for the Steelers in 40 years. Now, he finished his career with one woeful season in Seattle. I mean, it was kind of like Namath in Los Angeles and what have you. But so they're going to retire number 32. How many numbers do you think the Steelers have retired? With all their great players.
No. I would think 7.
Franco is just the third number that they're retiring.
How many are out of service?
Well, now you're getting to it. First off, he is the first offensive player who's having his jersey retired. Ernie Stoutner, who many remember being a longtime assistant coach with Landry and the Cowboys, but Stoutner, number 70, first number that was retired in franchise history. He played 14 years for the Steelers all through the 50s into the mid-60s. They were lousy. Joe Green, 75, was retired. First pick that Chuck Noll made when he took over, kind of represented all the success that Noll had. Look at him getting it right with his very first pick, etc. So, and now Franco. But here are the numbers that are out of circulation, is how they call it. Bradshaw's number 12. Jerome Bettis is 36. Palomalu's 43. Mel Blount's 47. Mike Webster's 52. Jack Lambert's 58. Jack Ham's 59. Elsie Greenwood 68. And Hines Ward's 86. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4,
9.
5, 6, 7, 9.
9.
9. Now, I got to admit, to retire Franco before Bradshaw's a joke. I'm sorry. It's a joke. Franco's Hall of Famer, deservedly so. Great player, all right? And I know he's, more beloved by the Rooneys because he's been there the whole time and he's kissed their butt and the whole deal, and Terry's difficult. All right, but you got to be kidding me. I mean, come on. I mean, at some point, I mean, to have not retired Bradshaw's 12.
Yeah, I don't even get it.
It's laughable.
It doesn't make any sense. But when I saw it yesterday, I was like, oh, that's right. They play the whole out of circulation game instead of the retired number.
Right.
And what is that? Just in case that you piss them off in your post-playing career that they can reactivate?
Well,
I mean, what exactly is that when we take a number out of circulation but don't retire it? You're in number purgatory?
Well, no, you're looking at it negatively. I think, they're trying to say, listen, we think you're amazing.
When then are you? How can I not look at it negatively? When is the last time these guys have played?
Oh.
With the exception of Palomalu and Hines Ward, these guys haven't played in 20 plus years.
Well, Bettis is a little over 15, but 05.
Work with me here.
I am.
Could you work with me just a little bit?
Okay, I am. Fine. So 3 of the 9, are 21st century players.
I mean, Webster's dead.
Yes. Yes, as a matter of fact, yes. Mm-hmm. Right. Mel Blount, Mike Webster, Jack Lambert, Jack Ham, L.C. Greenwood. Right. Yeah. Now, what's interesting about Greenwood is he's not a Hall of Famer. Yet they haven't given anybody 68. Now, I will say in the NFL, and I don't know, I'm not a Steelers fan. I don't watch their preseason games. Like, do they give these numbers out during the preseason? Because, like, the Giants, I've watched preseason Giants games over the years, although I haven't really in 15 or so years. But there was a time, like when Harry Carson retired, but they had so many guys in camp that somebody had to wear 53 in camp. Now, if he made the team, he was not wearing 53. Okay, but they needed all the numbers in training camp. Don't know what to tell you. So, occasionally I would see a number of a guy.
The 50s are a little jammed up here for the Steelers. There's no doubt.
Yeah, well, Webster 52, 58, 59. Right. It's a problem. But, I mean, remember, it was 20 years it took for Bradshaw just to go back and, be honored in some way. Welcome back. And it was a big emotional thing. And he hadn't been back in 20 years. So, I mean, the whole, not having, because, hey, I'm sorry. If they haven't retired 12, then number 7 ain't getting retired for a long time.
No way.
Long time. And by long time, I mean never. Come on now. I mean, I know they're the Rooneys and they can do no wrong, but come on, you can't retire 7 before you retire 12. I mean, give me a break.
And they're retiring 32 before they're retiring 12.
Right. So there you have it. I don't know if it's to the day, but they're retiring Franco's 32. I don't know if it's week 16 or it's the 16th game of the season, but it's a home game against the Raiders. And it is 50 years damn near to the day since the Immaculate Reception against the Raiders.
And it is the statue of one Franco Harris at the Pittsburgh airport.
It's remarkable. First time I flew in there and I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. This got a statue? But it goes back to the fact the Steelers were horrible. They were lousy for so long. And they made the playoffs and they hosted the Raiders and they won on that play. And I think the franchise hadn't won a playoff game since the 40s. And it is still revered to this day. Not the 4 Super Bowl. There's not a trophy of them carrying Noel off the field when they won Super Bowl 9 or Bradshaw running with the finger in the air like Namath, we're number 1. Not a leaping swan at the Orange Bowl making those amazing catches in Super Bowl 10.
No.
The
Franco.
Right. They lost the next week to the Dolphins. Of course, that's the other thing. The 15-0 Dolphins had to go on the road for the AFC Championship game, which
but Franco's, he's also kind of one of theirs too. The Penn State thing and sticking up for Joe Powell.
Right. And has been there, with the Steelers, every time. I mean, they need somebody for something. Franco's there.
Franco's there.
Yep. I know.
And it is amazing. The first time I flew into Pittsburgh, and I've told this story on the air before, so for those that have heard it, I apologize. But I can be a little bit of a pain in the ass. This just in. And I looked at that the very first time. I looked at my wife. I said, why is the ball not on the ground there? Maybe the dirtiest look she's ever given me in our lives.
You guys were married at the time or dating?
We were married.
Okay. All right, good.
I don't think I'd have done that before we were married.
Well, there was 2 parts to that play, too. Okay, one, whether or not the ball did skim the ground or not, but the first part of it is that at the time, the rule was that offensive players could not touch the ball back to back. A defensive player had to touch the ball in the middle. And remember, Bradshaw throws the pass. So when Frenchie Fuqua and the Raiders DB collide, There's great debate as to whether or not Fuqua's hand is the first one to touch the ball. And then the Raider DB hits him with such force, it drives the ball backwards in the air. But if Fuqua's hand is the first one to touch it, the play is over. They didn't have replay. So there were two parts of the play that literally would have been reviewed if it had taken place in the last 10, 15 years. We might still be there waiting to see how that one was going to end up.
Don't get in the way of that game with facts, David.
No. So Yinzer pointing out that it's only been voted the greatest play in NFL history. I'm curious when that vote took place, just because I'm wondering, in all honesty, if Tyree's catch on the side of the helmet would have overtaken it. But so I thought it was noteworthy. Franco Harris, just the third Steeler number to be retired.
I will say, when you go to Heinz Field, and I know you haven't been, when you walk in the area that they've got the locker room of, in the concourse of all the retired players, it is a special little part of a stadium. Of all the stadiums I've been to, one of the cooler things that I've seen in the stadium, just the lockers with all of the Hall of Fame Steelers being honored at Heinz Field, is a pretty special little room.
So, and don't get there this year either. So
no, I know
the one place that I haven't been, all right, in the NFL, going to have to wait at least a little while longer. So, that news out there yesterday, thought it was noteworthy because, like you, I think most of us would have envisioned that 6, 7, however many guys numbers had been retired. And in fact, Franco is only the third for the franchise. Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Bud Elliott to join us coming up in about 25 minutes time.
Our poll question is up. Who's going to win more games, the Bucs or the Fins? Right now, overwhelmingly Tampa Bay.
All this hype for the Dolphins. All the Dolph fans out there going to be very disappointed if they don't make the playoffs. I guess you're not buying Pat Kerwin's concern for the Bucs and the interior of the offensive line and how it's going to cost them. And they're not even going to win the South, according to Pat. I think Pat had Miami with 11. I think that was his number yet when we had him on the show yesterday.
Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll make our NFL predictions at 8 o'clock. Bud Elliott coming up in 35 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
$14 in the AP.
Yeah, well, they're the 14th best team in the country. McAfee's joining game day, huh?
Yeah. So he'll be doing Friday night wrestling and then taking a private plane to wherever they are and doing game day.
Well, they added 2 more people to
Really?
the show. I don't know who either of them are. There's Doug, somebody who's going to give some news and notes throughout the day. And then they added this woman because they need a woman. I mean, they lost the one, Maria Taylor's gone, so they had to have somebody that's kind of that. So they introduced both of them. The woman was, I couldn't tell you who she was, so it wouldn't matter. I mean, she must have a good social media following because whatever she was doing at Ohio State, the students were fired up for her. So whatever she did leading up to it, she did her job right. But I mean, there's a lot of people on that show.
It's 3 hours. I mean, you know, for us, I think the show's now useless. But
Yeah.
Reese Davis with strong comments about the expanded playoff and how much he doesn't like it. And that he thinks it totally diminishes the regular season.
I would like to have that argument with people because I know you still think the Pac-12 is alive. I think they're dead. At best, they're on life support. Whereas with an AQ, they've got another chance. I think it makes the regular season so much more relevant. I really do.
I agree.
Because I don't think the ACC will get any credit for North Carolina State playing those games on the road. I think they'll just get dogged for playing close games. Jake said for whatever reason, he wasn't just, he left the game. They wouldn't let the students back in the student section. Now, I don't know what the reasons were, but they showed a shot of the game. It was hot. It was just really hot. He goes, I'm dying. He goes, I went down to get a water and a beer. He goes, the beer line was at least an hour long. They were out of water in the first quarter.
That's not good.
No. He goes, it's hot in the concourse. Now they won't let me back in. And he goes, it's me and 20 people they won't let back in the student section. So we left. They showed a shot third quarter. The student section was empty. It's a tight game. The game was sold out at the beginning. There wasn't anywhere to go. Apparently, Jake said they did this a couple of years ago at an NC State game. I think they were maybe worried about rowdiness. So I have no idea. He didn't even know the reasons why. Because then he's texting me that he was home. I think we're going back. And they ended up not going back. And he goes, thank God we didn't. And he goes, not because we lost. He goes, it started downpouring 5 minutes after that game.
Oh, okay.
The skies just opened up.
Yeah, Spitz. I have to admit, for the two of us, the pregame shows are largely irrelevant. Jags have a better chance to win their division than the Dolphins do in winning theirs. I don't think I could agree with that. The Flint Tropics. Nice.
Just out of curiosity, have you ever seen the road Is it to Perdition
Coming back.
with Tom Hanks and Paul Newman?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll question: with the NFL season starting tomorrow night, who's going to win more games, Bucks or Dolphins? Sorry, Jags. You're not worthy of making the poll question yet.
We're hoping you make the poll question next year.
Yes, that would be nice. Although somebody brought up an interesting comment in our Twitch chat room. RCB said the Jags have a better chance to win their division than the Dolphins do to win theirs.
It's a nice, fun clickbait headline. I don't believe it,
I don't either.
but I like the style of his writing. And if I ran a website, I would be sure to get something underneath that.
So you and I, and we will make our picks on the NFL season coming up at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. And we talked about it for about 30 seconds before the show. We both have 5 new playoff teams, correct?
Yes.
So lately, everybody's trying to figure out who's going to be this year's Cincinnati Bengals, if there is one. And no guarantee. I mean, the Bengals were coming off a bad season and were picked by everybody to be better, but still be the worst team in their division. And obviously they weren't. And we know, although they just went 10-7 during the regular season, I mean, it was enough to win that division, which I don't think any of us thought at this time last year that 10-7 would win the AFC North. But it turned out that was good enough to win the North. And then we all know about the playoff run and what have you. So people are trying to say, well, if there's going to be a Cincinnati Bengals this year, who's it going to be? And there has been a person or two that's actually said Jacksonville, in part because they think that the division is soft. Tennessee's not as good as they were a year ago. Houston's still not good. So then basically, if the Jags kind of put it all together, it's can they, maybe 10's the number like it was for Cincinnati last year. But the other team that we did talk about briefly before the show, people are throwing a few shekels on the Carolina Panthers.
They are. And Carolina had a nice defense last year. No offense to speak of whatsoever, but their defense gave teams fits. And can the offense now with Baker, a healthy McCaffrey, can Carolina be that team with Atlanta? See, the problem that I have, it's not a soft division.
We don't think so. But then again, we couldn't have imagined at this time last year that 10-7 would win the AFC North. Win it. I mean, remember, Cincinnati was the only non-playoff team, basically, from that division. And everybody else had been 500 or better.
And here you go. What do you have that happened to the North last year? You had a Lamar Jackson get hurt.
Right.
So let's just call that team, for the sake of this argument, New Orleans. And Jameis gets hurt again. And New Orleans, that a lot of people are high on, without a quarterback, can't muster up much of a season. Atlanta, we don't think much of. They're, I guess, the Cleveland Browns.
Ooh, that's painful.
To both.
Especially since a year ago at this time, the Browns were coming off, an 11-win regular season and a playoff win.
Tampa Bay has a banged-up offensive line and a really old quarterback. That sounds a lot like last year's Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you're going to make Carolina Cincinnati, I just gave you the Cliff Notes version of how that can work. I don't buy it. But to your point, we don't think it's a weak division. It could become a weak division really easily.
So, that's like somebody mentioned they think Indianapolis is going to be this year, Cincinnati. Indianapolis won 9 games last year. I mean, the Colts won 9 games. That's not a, 4 or 5 win team that doubles their win total and then some and goes from 4th to 1st. Sorry. I mean, that was a second place team that if they had won either one of their last 2 games would have made the playoffs. Now you can pick them to win the South, and a lot of people are, but that's not, hey, they're going to be this year's Cincinnati Bengals. Well, how can they be? They're 9-8. Just like New Orleans last year was 9-8. They missed the playoffs, but they were 9-8. I mean, Carolina lost 12 of their last 14. They finished 5-12. I mean, they doubled their win total and put 10 on the board and what have you. They're this year's Cincinnati. Some think it's Detroit, believe it or not. And I know that's stop the presses time right there.
That's laugh out loud funny to me.
But you know what? Whose reputation a year ago, how much worse was Detroit's image and reputation than Cincinnati's?
72% worse.
You just go card sharks there? What?
No, it's at least 3/4 worse than Cincinnati's. It is.
A year ago at this time?
A year ago at this time.
Come on, a year ago at this time, they were very much the Bungles. And Burrow was coming off a serious knee injury, and we didn't know when he was going to play.
But we all thought he could play.
Oh, no. I mean, we still thought he was Joe Burrow, but I'm just saying we thought they were the Bungles. Now, you could still be right. I mean, the Lions' reputation is so bad that you could be the Bungles and still be 72% lower. But I'm just saying, some people, I mean, I got to admit, I think Detroit's going to win at least 7. I mean, if you get to 7 and 10 in the AFC, I mean, you need to steal 2 more maybe, and you could be in.
You could, and I think you and I both have some combination of a 9-8 making a wild card in the NFC. At least I do.
So, is there a Cincinnati Bengals team this year? And if so, who is it?
And could it be the Jags? See, the Jags is the one that you point at because the division's soft. Look what just happened. Tennessee lost their best pass rusher. We think they already downgraded from a year ago, and it got worse during camp. Indianapolis, to sell you on the Colts being a playoff team is one of the more difficult things that I have tried to do over the course of the summer.
Well, this is one of the few times that I have just been riding a certain horse, and I've been lucky enough to have been right, in which I have just been betting against the Colts to win the AFC South for a while now. And since they haven't won it since 2014, it makes me look good.
But to find that team, and I would bet on it, there's not a team that does it this year. You know what I mean? I guess you could always go Denver. They were the 7-10 team. That's a stretch to do what we were talking about with Cincinnati. But we do have to get to our Clutch Vodka play of the day, David.
That's clutch.
With a K. And we have to go to baseball. Phillies and Marlins, because the Marlins can't score, and that leads to the potential for walk-offs, even with their great pitching. We go to last night, Philadelphia and the Miami Marlins.
And a line drive base hit into right field. Garcia gets to it. Here comes Harper. The throw to the plate is not in time! Gene Segura's just won it in the bottom of the 9th inning with a line drive single to right center field that brings home Bryce Harper, and the Phillies win it 3-2.
Tom McCarthy with the call for the Phillies. Phillies and Padres win, Brewers lose. Philadelphia and San Diego further cementing their playoff positioning.
Just had to beat up the Marlins with that one, huh?
Well, 8th straight loss. That go-ahead runner, Bryce Harper there, he reached because the left fielder fell down. And that was a can of corn that was hit to left, and he fell down, and it ends up being a leadoff double.
And that makes our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Clutch Vodka. Be on the lookout for Clutch Vodka at a Total Wine near you. Great football packaging on the horizon from the folks at Clutch Vodka.
Speaking of total packaging, how about Bud Elliott? Huh?
See what you did there.
Yeah. He's next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Found this website, really cool site, 506sports.com, and they've got the whole, mapped out the.
Is it the doubles final?
It must be. They've just got all the college football games, and there's a game at noon, and then South Carolina, Arkansas is at noon. That's not a bad game. And then Kentucky and Florida's at 7, and there's nothing in the middle.
Well, there's the women's final, I thought, or is that Sunday? I thought it was. Yeah, maybe it's Sunday.
Women's final at 3:00.
Yeah, they had a graphic up before.
I hope the Jags are the Bengals this year.
I do too.
I really do. That'd be awesome. Because all three Florida's teams would be, I guess, box office.
So Michigan State's not on television this week. I mean, they play Akron. I'm not blaming the Big Ten Network, but they have 4 Big Ten Network games all on at the same time with that,
Didn't Michigan State's quarterback ball out week 1? He had 5 touchdowns
I think he had 4.
in the first half.
No. Because they pulled away late.
Oh.
What a horrible, horrible week of college football.
You said it was Florida, Kentucky. That's the most.
It's the best game.
That's
Baylor BYU is the next best game.
That's bad. That's really bad.
I mean, ABC's jamming USC and Stanford down your throat at 7:30.
Yep, that's their primetime game.
Notre Dame plays Marshall. CBS has Colorado and Air Force on, for Christ's sake.
Yep. Another Mountain West game.
You doing it?
No.
Have you been to Air Force for any? Did you go there for a game?
The U.S. Senior Open
that's right.
was in Colorado Springs, but I really wanted to do this game.
No, that's.
My best friend lives out in Denver. I mean, I really wanted to do this game. Much easier to go from Denver to Seattle than Fort Myers.
Right, you could have spent all
to
day
Seattle.
Sunday in Denver, going out late. I mean, you probably could have. Give me a 7:00 flight.
Well, what I probably would have done is I might have flown out of here Thursday even. and done the show Friday from Denver and spent a whole day with, my best friend and his wife, and then done the game Saturday, done dinner with them, and flown out early Sunday.
So do you know every game you're doing this season already?
No, but
kind
No,
of.
but yes.
Yes.
What game are you most excited for?
Alabama A&M.
No, believe it or not, I think Alabama's going to roll A&M. I
Yeah,
think
but the
A&M's
atmosphere is going to
overrated.
be a riot.
Yeah, it will.
Does A&M roll UM?
You know what?
They're not doing that game.
You know what game would? First off, I'm really excited. I really want Florida now to win Saturday. Okay, I would love 3-0 Florida at 3-0 Tennessee.
Ooh.
People, don't know, since they haven't been good for 15 years. But my first couple years in the SEC, Tennessee was still good. Man, Knoxville was great. And
there's Bud.
Like those John Henderson teams.
Son of a biscuit. That's what I do have one for Bud. There we go. Hi, Bud.
What's going on, guys?
You're on a heater.
My goodness, really? Don't touch the screen. It might melt.
It was a good start. I mean, look, if you don't start hot in college football.
Yeah, I know. I went 1-4, Bud. Don't
I
talk
went
to me
2-5. Shut up.
Oh man.
Thanks, Mr. Bielema. Kick a God-blessed field goal.
Oh, that screwed. Yeah, in my personal stuff, that was because I had that and over.
Oh yeah.
I had App State. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I had App small plus 3.5 really early in the week, like
10 seconds, guys.
Extremely small.
What are you like 15-4?
We're coming back.
Yeah.
Here we go, guys.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour on a hump day. That means Bud Elliott. And he's got so many W-2s, whether it's CBS Sports HQ, running things at 24/7 Sports, being a part of the Cover 3 and Nolecast podcasts, both of which have been nominated and won awards. You can follow Bud on Twitter at Bud Elliott 3. Bud Elliott 3. 2 L's, 2 T's in Bud Elliott. How are you?
I'm recovering from week. So Maggie and I did 6 days in New Orleans. That's a lot, Shout out to my folks in Fort Myers, Bud and Patty, who came and house sat and watched the kids and got a lot of grandkids time. And on the back half of that, the kids actually got a cold. So I was like, I knew I'd have to work in New Orleans some, and I wanted to make sure my wife enjoyed the experience. So we went a couple more days. So I was able to spend a little time each day actually enjoying the city, and still got the work in. Got to do the research to make these picks on Cover 3. So
there's no doubt. You're killing it. Just give us a little back. Take us back to New Orleans, because it certainly looked like FSU invaded New Orleans. Now, obviously, for the LSU folks, that's a day drive. They're coming in day a game for the most part. But the Noles traveled a little bit for this one. That had to be a nice sight to see, Bud.
They really did. Guys, it had been about 5 years since they had a road game that they were actually pumped up to see, that they were not ranked for, but just undefeated for, at least, right? It's pretty early in the season, but they had started 0-1 for each of the last 5 seasons. So they were really excited to go to this. It's a great destination spot. I'd much rather go to a neutral site game in New Orleans than like Fort Worth and tailgate next to a big Walmart right near Jerry World, or Atlanta. Like, no offense to Atlanta or Dallas, but those aren't really places that I want to go vacation. And now LSU fans get to come back to Orlando and probably take their kids to Disney or something next year. I mean, I live here, but without Disney, I'm probably not vacation in Orlando. It was great. Nole fans really showed out. I was surprised just how many were there.
Well, since you cover the Noles in a sense, all right, very quickly, in comparison to what they have looked like these last 5 years, what do you take out of the win besides the W?
They were just a better coach team in this game. They really never put the ball at risk through the air. I mean, the pitch play at the end aside, Jordan Travis, I think, threw 30 passes, 7 incompletes. And I mean, really, none of them could have been picked off, I think. Just took care of the ball. If you got a kid with his mobility and he's going to be an accurate passer too, they're going to be pretty live in a lot of games. Tremendous coaching job. I mean, they were down 2 starters who they took as transfers on the offensive line due to injury through just one game. And then the center, Smith, was pretty banged up. He actually went ahead and played. I thought they coached really, really well. And defensively, no freebies. They stayed in 2 deep almost the entire, like, not saying they never blitzed, but like they pretty much stayed in 2 deep the entire game. They made LSU earn it and be consistent underneath. No explosive plays allowed until the very last drive. They allowed a 20-yarder on that catch and run. But I mean, the ball was never successfully thrown over their heads. And that's really testament to them. Like, no explosives allowed.
And Bud, with the 2 linemen down and 1 banged up, they still played very well at the line of scrimmage. And, you know, this is not a good LSU team, but the LSU defensive line is still an SEC solid guys that play in the NFL defensive line, and they held their own. To me, that was a huge positive to take out of the game.
It really was. And look, this game could play out in a lot of different ways. If LSU doesn't drop punts, if FSU makes field goals. Mason Smith going down for LSU on the first series was pretty big. I mean, he was whipping the guy in front of him on all 3 plays before he went down. And I hate it for the kid. He's a nice kid. I talked to him a couple of times as a recruit. That NFL draft guys, that'll be a name to remember for next year's draft, because he's going to come back and be a beast for them. But you're right. They held up. They kept LSU off balance somewhat. I mean, it was, they only scored, what they scored, but I thought they were kept off balance to a decent extent, despite the fact LSU has some serious athletes up front.
What else from week 1? Sorry, week 0 is not week 1, at least not yet. Wait till they upgrade it. But what else from week 1? We had talked about all the great games that were scheduled in North Carolina. Vatek's 10-year deal with Old Dominion now. Okay, they probably rethinking that. It's good for college football, maybe not for the Hokies. The great win by the Gators. What is it that you took from week 1?
So I knew a guy on Florida staff last year who was thinking that long-term Richardson would be really, really good, but he wasn't sure how good he would be this year. I thought he played great. I thought Napier's staff put him in the right position to make plays and to minimize mistakes. They did a lot of play action stuff, little half roll stuff with him. And then the 75-yarder was huge. I think Drake May, I mean, guys, it's only 2 games and people will adjust. There is some chance that Drake May is the best quarterback in the ACC this year. Like, that's a kid who Bama wanted. North Carolina, Mac Brown beat them out. He's unreal. North Carolina through 2 games is not worse at quarterback after losing Sam Howell. I think they're better. And then finally, Notre Dame, even though I don't buy their offense, I'm actually upgrading them somewhat in my power ratings, even though I didn't bet Ohio State. The number of coverages they can play on the back end and play well and not bust them, and the fact that they have that quality defense up front, I'm in on Notre Dame as probably a 10-win team again, just because there's so many teams that can't handle what they do defensively.
And when you consider they lost the Hamilton kid to the draft, I still don't understand the double safety blitz there. They gave up a touchdown on it.
Out of a timeout. Maybe they just got created. Like, all right, hey, Ohio State's going to be ready for.
And no offense, but if you're going to safety blitz, you might as well just bring the safeties up to the line of scrimmage and get there.
Thank you.
I mean, don't do it from 8 yards deep.
You can't. I mean, I just don't think you can get to a quarterback when you're playing blitzes like that, trying to get to a QB. You can't give these guys that kind of time anymore.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, especially because it's not like Stroud is bad at reading defenses. I mean, he's a really good player. He might go number 1.
There's no doubt. Back to the Gators and Richardson. You mentioned the coaches put him in a good spot. Just the totality of that game for Florida. Does this put them ahead of the curve? How much does that win do for Napier and the Gators? Obviously, it doesn't. It's only a couple of days because Kentucky's on Saturday.
Well, I think it helps them quite a bit, actually. So, Florida's going to get an uptick in recruiting from this because it was a great atmosphere. They had a lot of recruits on hand. Are they ranked now? I actually didn't see the polls.
Yes.
I was traveling. So they're going to be ranked.
Yeah, in the coaches poll, they're still ranked behind Utah, though, bud.
Kentucky, we'll see who's still suspended from Kentucky. They had a couple guys out. Kentucky's offensive line looked downright bad against a very rebuilt Miami, Ohio defense. Miami, Ohio lost a lot of guys to the NFL, and that's not a program that can typically replace those on the defensive side of the ball to the MAC. And then they kind of exposed Kentucky a little bit. I'm not saying Florida's going to crush Kentucky, but Florida's got a pretty good chance to be 2-0 here. And if so, like they may vault into the top 10 of the polls.
Well, they're 12 in the AP and 19 in the coaches are the Gators after the polls coming out yesterday. We're talking with Bud Elliott, CBS Sports HQ, 24/7 Sports, Cover 3 podcast, and Nolecast. You can follow him on Twitter, Bud Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, Bud Elliott 3. Week 2 is not week 1 in terms of the quality of games, and you're off to what, a 15-4 start against the number? Is that right?
Yeah, that's not what we would call sustainable, but it is. I do put the work in the offseason, right? I try to pick the right games, and yeah, it's been a really hot start on Cover 3.
A game that intrigues the two of us. It's the last game, I think, of the night, at least of the ranked teams. Here's Baylor in the top 10. Here's BYU at the bottom of the top 25. But the game's at BYU, and the Cougars are favored. But if Baylor's a legitimate playoff contender, A, shouldn't they be favored in this game? But also, B, shouldn't they win it?
It's an important point we need to address. Playoff contender, national championship contender. Big difference. Playoff contender is play well, have the right schedule, get the right breaks. Baylor is a playoff contender. They are not a national championship contender. So from that standpoint, I guess I would disagree a little bit. I also think BYU is a playoff contender, given that schedule. I mean, if BYU runs that schedule, guys, they're going to the playoff. And like that's a top 10, 15 schedule in the country. If you go undefeated against that, you're good. This game is sort of a mirror image of each other in some ways. Now, BYU is more experienced. It is hard to go to Provo and win. Both teams are excellent along both lines of scrimmage, I believe. I really like Hall, the quarterback for BYU. But I talked to guys who recruited Gary Bohannon when he was in the transfer portal, and they were like, hey, man, this Shapen kid, because they were watching both clips of Bohannon and the new quarterback for Baylor, Blake Shapen. They liked Shapen quite a bit. Like, he can play. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, these coaches are like, ooh, this Shapen guy is pretty damn good. But Baylor's got one there. So really good quarterbacks, potentially, really good lines of scrimmage. Secondary and receiver are all new for Baylor. But with BYU, Romney and Puka Nacua are banged up. I think Puka's going to go. I don't know if Romney's going to go. I mean, Puka played for a little bit against USF, and then when they were up big, he kind of tweaked something, and then they didn't put him back in the game. I'm inclined, if this sits at 3.5, to just probably play Baylor. It's hard to blow Aranda out, but there's definitely some big-time money against me here that has been backing BYU because this opened like 2.5.
All right, West Virginia losing to Pitt last week. Pitt now gets Tennessee. It's like 6.5 in that one. Tennessee was impressive in their win, but it's a MAC school, not a good MAC school. So how do you see this one, Bud?
Yeah, I'm inclined to lean Pitt here, actually, guys. I'm doing a little more research on this, but I think Pitt's line of scrimmage is really good on both sides. Now, I don't love all the running Narduzzi is doing. Running is not as efficient as passing. We've said this a lot of times on this show. It's just not. If you can pass it well, you're going to win more games than if you can run it well. And Pitt passed the ball well. They just insist on running the ball so much. And look, they won the game, so okay, whatever. But I don't love their approach. And yet it's hard to win by more than a score against Narduzzi in that defense. They don't give you a whole lot of freebies.
Are you buying USC? Because, they lose at Stanford when they're really good. And we don't even know if they're good. And they're playing at Stanford this week. Are you buying?
I was hoping that this was going to stay at 11 or 12. So I could take it later in the week and take some Stanford. USC defensively, the surface numbers look great. But if you look down on it, 3 pick sixes, which, again, not really sustainable. Interception, somewhat sustainable. Returning over touchdowns, very random, as we know. Rice actually drove the ball fairly well on them in the first half, just didn't cash it in for touchdowns. Somebody will expose the USC defense, so I'm not really in on USC yet.
USC a 9-point favorite at Stanford. It's the primetime game on ABC Saturday.
Speaking of the Pac-12, Bud, David and I had this argument yesterday. I think unless USC runs the table, the conference is already done. It's why I love the 12-team playoff with automatic qualifiers. Because this week, it sucked. Oregon got their doors blown off. We kind of expected that to happen. Utah was supposed to win. It was a great football game, but they lost on the road. This is the death nail to me for the Pac-12. Does USC, in your opinion, have to run the table for the Pac-12, or can Utah run the table and still find themselves a playoff team?
I think there's some chance Utah can if USC is also like that team, and then Utah beats USC in the Pac-12 title game, right? If Utah beats USC twice now, I could still see them going with the right dominoes falling around the country.
But what other game do you like? Like, for instance, why is Houston an underdog at Texas Tech? If Houston is some talk, they were going to be the best group of 5 school. Now, I know they struggled at UTSA. They were fortunate to win in overtime. But, Houston an underdog at Texas Tech. Anything else out there that you find intriguing?
Okay, so quickly on that, I think Houston was kind of the media darling because of the schedule, and not in the wrong way. They do have the schedule to have a really impressive record. They were not that good against UTSA, and UTSA had a lot of offensive line problems in that game and still moved the ball on them. So I'm a little concerned about Houston right now, and I'm a little concerned about the passing game because Dana ran the ball a ton. I'm like, does he not trust their passing game with Tune? I'm not sure on that. I will give you one here that I'm about 99% sure I'm going to give out on the show. I like Ohio State. All right. I think Arkansas State was a team that kind of tried to use more the second transfer portal window, and it didn't work very well. A lot of that talent was gone. Now, they crushed Grambling in week 1. I think Ohio State dropped 60-something here. So I'm on Ohio State to just blow the doors of Arkansas State minus 42, minus 43.
Friday night, UCF's laying just a little less than a touchdown against Louisville. Louisville got whooped by Syracuse. They're already talking about replacing a coach in Louisville one game in. This is one where I would lean towards UCF. What are you thinking Friday night?
I'm probably not going to take UCF simply because of the fact that Louisville did get whooped and everybody saw it, right? I was hoping Louisville would come out and win so I could take UCF in a nice home spot, maybe as a slight dog or a small favorite. Louisville can still score, I think, and UCF's defense last year was trash. I think their offense is really, really good at UCF, but I'm not really sure about the defense yet. So I'm not like, this is one I feel like I probably have to pass it simply because of how bad Louisville looked. You're basically betting, if you're taking UCF, you're saying, hey, Louisville is absolutely as bad as they showed, and they're going to stink for another week. So that's a hard bet for me to make.
But 10 seconds, where can people get your picks?
Sure, just guys, Cover 3 podcast, 11 o'clock Eastern time on Thursdays, YouTube live. We'll see y'all there.
Bud Elliott, CBS Sports HQ, 24/7 Sports, the Cover 3 podcast, and Nolecast. Follow him on Twitter, Bud Elliott, 2 L's, 2 T's, Bud Elliott 3. Bud, all the best.
See you guys. Take care.
Bud Elliott will join us at this time every Wednesday throughout the college football season. He is one of the very best at what he does, and he joins us here on Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, that's a pretty good shot. Welcome back.
It's noticeable when you walk.
It's why I try not to leave the room. If you know, that's the main reason I try to just plot my. The other thing is I notice, because I kind of sit with my feet back on this, that when I get up, my knees are tight from sitting here. It's like, it's so damn cold in here. It's like, oh, wonderful. Falling apart.
That's actually one of the reasons why I like getting up, walking around. I'm on the Bills tomorrow. Here's the home run.
Nice play. I'm going Bills, RCB.
Uh-oh. Both going Bills. Tell you what, and I know nobody's paying attention, nobody cares. Becky Hammond, down the stretch of that game I was talking about, she was a machine. Okay, because they had her mic'd up, and so when she calls those timeouts, I mean, and she was so impressive. Okay, here's the deal. We got 2 timeouts left. All right. And then here's what we need. We need a 3 this time. We have to go for 3 this time. Here's what we're going to run. Now, if they guard this, you're the second option. Okay. You have to set the screen. All right. Got it? Okay. Boom. Come back next time. 1 timeout left. She was a machine, and they executed flawlessly. It was unbelievably impressive. I was watching that thinking to myself, fucking NBA. You could hire her. She can go.
Come back.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Just like that, it's already the 8 o'clock hour. Time flies during football season, especially with good guests. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Seth Everett to join us coming up for his weekly visit in a little over 35 minutes time. All right. Every show does it. This is our time to do it. You can make your picks on the NFL season. There's a couple of guidelines that Miller and Moulton try to operate by. The one is you have to have the same number of wins as losses.
That's a big one for me. It wasn't as big for David when we started.
The first one we did, Mark added up my picks. And at the time, it was only 16 games. So it was, I think you had to be 256 and 256. And I was like 273 to 239 or something. And he's like, hey, these picks can't count.
There's no doubt that before those picks, David spent the night watching the NFL Network, the NFL Films review of each team going into the year, where you can't help yourself but thinking everybody's going to the playoffs.
Yeah, you can't give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Teams suck. All right? Start finding the 5 teams that suck. So both of our picks are 272 and 272. The second one, which you and I don't think intentionally do this, but we are aware of it, is how many new teams there are every year making the playoffs. This is something that we've early in our tenure, if you will, that we realized that when it was just 12 teams making the playoffs, that basically 5 of the 12 were new every year, minimum. I mean, every now and then it'd be 6. One year there were 7. I mean, 15-year run until you finally had the 1 year where only 4 of the 12 were new. So, now that it's 14 teams, that will make it harder. But for the most part, the number, if you're making your own picks out there for your own enjoyment, and when you're done with them and you look, just add up how many are new playoff teams. Because to be at least in the ballpark, the number should be 5.
It should be. You could get away with 4, but it should be 5. And that's something at the end I kind of look at and make sure that I've got a few new playoff teams in there. And I think David and I both do. So, all right, where do you want to start this sucker at?
Well, I say we start in the AFC East. Anybody got the guts to pick the Dolphins over the Bills? Okay.
No.
All right.
Buffalo is the best team in the National Football League.
Look at you. Look at you.
They are the overwhelming 1 seed.
Huh.
They have the best record in the league when it is all said and done at 13-4, and they win the AFC East.
I have them 12-5. I do have them as the 1 seed. And come to think of it, I do have them with the best record. I do have Miami making the playoffs with 10 wins, though.
As do I. I have New England finishing 3rd, and the Jets are on the clock.
Ooh.
I have the Jets at 4-13 as the worst team in the National Football League.
I have the Patriots at 7-10, which I'm guessing is worse than a lot of people have them. I have the Jets at 6-11. The Jets will play their first 10 games against teams that had winning records last year. So I'll be curious to see what their record is 10 games into the season. But they actually have a chance to make some hay in the last third of the season. And I expect, young roster, that they will make hay. And that's why I think that they will ultimately get to 6. For the record, by the way, I have 4 teams tied at 10-7 for 2 wildcard spots in the AFC. The Dolphins win a wildcard tiebreaker to get in.
Yeah, and I obviously don't have this right, but I have all 3 wildcard teams at 10-7, including 1 division winner at 10-7 as well.
Ooh, all right. To the north we go. I know you and I both like the same team.
Yeah, it's Baltimore.
Yeah, we've been talking that up. That's also usually, not every year, usually there's one fourth place team that goes from worst to first. Who was that team last year? The Bengals went from fourth to first in their division. The Ravens make it very easy on us this year, if you believe in Baltimore, because when Lamar got hurt and they lost their last 6 or 7 to end last season, they technically finished last in a tie with the Browns, but the Browns had a better division record.
I have the Bengals at 10-7, making a wild card. I have Pittsburgh at 8-9, which would break that streak for Tomlin of finishing 500 or better every year he's been a head coach. And I have Cleveland at 7-10, bringing up the rear.
Well, you and I have the division exact same order, same record, the whole deal. I have the Ravens at 11-6, and they'll be either the 2 or the 3 seed.
To the south we go.
I know we'll disagree here.
Yes, we will. I have the Indianapolis Colts at 10-7, the worst division winner in the AFC, 1 game better than your Tennessee Titans. I have the Jags third, and Houston will be a game better than the Jets at 5-12.
Same order at the bottom end. I have Jacksonville doubling their win total. I have the Jags at 6-11, Texans 5-12. Tennessee wins a tiebreaker with the Colts. They're both 10-7. Titans in. Colts miss the playoffs at 10-7, just like their 9-8 last year kept them out. I'll be very surprised if 2 teams get in from that division.
I will as well. I'm with you 100% there. And then in the West, I have Kansas City winning the division again. When Pat pressed me and said, give me your division winners, I stuck with the 8 that I put down initially. I just have no faith in the Chargers until they prove me wrong. I do have the Chargers as a playoff team at 10-7. I have the Raiders at 9-8 and Denver at 8-9.
I have the Chiefs third.
Whoa. What?
I have them making the playoffs. I have them being the 6 seed or 7 seed, if you will, at 10-7. But I have them third. And I have the Chargers over the Raiders, both at 11-6. Chargers win the tiebreaker in the AFC West. Broncos finish last with a winning record. I have them at 9-8. So in that division, I have the 4 teams going 41-27 as my record. Far and away the best division in the league for the record. And when, my win total.
Wow.
I have the AFC North as the second best, and the AFC East actually grades out in terms of wins and losses as the third best division.
That's how I'm the exact same way, because you and I both have the South quite a few games below 500.
Mm-hmm. But yes, so I went with the Chargers, which I know will lead me to ruin, because I have watched it lead you to ruin for most of the last half dozen years. But I've decided, since you're smart enough to get off the bandwagon, that one of the 2 of us has to be the fool and be on the Chargers wagon.
Good for you. Good for you.
But I have the Chiefs finishing third and yet still a playoff team. I mean, remember last year in the NFC West, 3 teams made the playoffs. It's hard, but it can be done.
And then as far as the playoffs go, I didn't do each round, but I do have the AFC Championship. I have Buffalo hosting Baltimore for the AFC Championship, and the Bills representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
I have the Bills hosting the Chargers.
Look at you.
Listen, I'm tired of the Chargers telling everyone how good they are. All right, fine. Okay, I'm going to believe you. It's all on you then. It's all on you. I would love to see Baltimore at least get to the AFC Championship game. Lamar getting someplace that he hasn't been yet would be good for him, because it doesn't sound like they're going to reach a contractual deal in the next 72 hours. So this thing's going to hang over him in that franchise all year. So that'd be cool.
I'd love to see him play 17 games.
Yeah.
I really would. If he plays 17 games, I like Baltimore's chances.
To the NFC East, I have the Eagles winning the division, and I have them winning it by 2 games over Dallas, and I have the Cowboys missing the playoffs. I have the Eagles with 11 wins, and the Cowboys are the second-place team that misses the playoffs in the NFC at 9-8.
It's funny. I have Dallas at 10-7, and it's one of the only schedules that I went through over and over and over again, and I don't see a way that Dallas finishes much worse, even though I don't think they're as good. I think 10-7 is about a floor for them. I think Philadelphia wins the division as well. I have them at 11-6, but I do have Dallas as a playoff team at 10-7. Then I go Washington at 7-10 and the Giants at 6-11.
And I have Washington and the Giants in the same order, but each a game worse. 6 wins for Washington, 5 for the Giants.
One of the 2 divisions I have going 500 in the NFC. In the North, I've got Green Bay at 12-5. They're going to be the 1 seed. I have Minnesota at 10-7 as a playoff team. The Lions win 7. I thought long and hard about putting the Bears on the clock. They're a game better than the Jets.
So I think we have the same teams in the same record. Bears with 5 wins for me. They're one of 4 teams that are 5-12. I have Atlanta on the clock for what's that's worth. I do have the Lions getting the 7 wins. And yes, the Vikings win 10 and make the playoffs. Packers win the division, but win it with 11.
Almost changed my mind and went New Orleans over the Bucks, but I have the Bucks making the playoffs and winning the division at 10-7. I have New Orleans making the playoffs at 9-8, and then Carolina at 7-10. I have Atlanta I have 4 teams at 5-12 as well. Atlanta's one of them.
I have Tampa winning the division with 11. Saints has a wild card with 10. Carolina with 7. Atlanta with 4. The Falcons on the clock.
And then I have the Rams winning the division, but I have the Niners at 9-8 missing the playoffs, David. That's my 9-8 team missing the playoffs. Arizona and then Seattle at 5-12 as well. And I have Green Bay as the 1 seed.
San Francisco wins the West with 11. Rams make the playoffs with 10. Arizona falters to 7 wins, and everybody's getting fired. Seattle at 5-12. So I have Atlanta on the clock with 4. Seattle, Chicago, the Giants, and the Texans, all 2-5 with 5 wins.
And I have the Jets on the clock in Chicago, Atlanta, Seattle, and Houston, all with 5 wins. I have Green Bay as the 1 seed. And, if I pick them as a 1 seed, you know me, I go chalk. I've got Green Bay hosting Tampa Bay for the NFC title. And Tom loses again. And Aaron goes to the Super Bowl to get beat by the Buffalo Bills.
I have the Bills beating Brady in the Super Bowl. Buffalo finally gets the championship, and they do it at the expense of the all-time winner who has owned the Bills. He's like 31-3 or something like that against them in his career. Tom Brady in the Super Bowl for his final game. You think that would rate? Miller and Moulton. Right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts.
FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Mark, you had Buffalo winning the AFC North? Or Buffalo. Baltimore?
I'm sorry, what?
Did you have Baltimore winning the AFC North?
Yes, he
Yes.
Yeah.
What did he do? Did he jump the reporter for walking in late?
Well, apparently there was more than one. Okay. Apparently there were a few reporters that were late, and I thought it was him trying to make a joke, about when guys are late. I think he said, something to the effect of, it'll be $10. Okay. And we'll put it all on a pot. Okay. And we'll have a big party at the end of the year at my place. Okay. I thought he was just trying to,
Just have some fun.
yeah. Now I will say, it's Brian. It wasn't a great delivery. He wasn't.
He doesn't tell
smiling.
jokes well.
No, but I thought he was just trying to be like, he made it something about, the somewhat tardy, media, and he made it sound as if there was more than one person.
Gotcha.
And just said, that'll be $10. But don't worry about it. We'll throw it in a pot. We'll have a party at the end of the year. It'll be at my place, what have you. Okay. And the reporter said, well, if you win, I'll be on time. Okay. Now if I was LSU, the reporter would have nothing to do with the program anymore. I would just tell the employer and go, sorry. Nope. Need to have somebody else. And if you don't, that's fine. And me, I'm Mr. Media.
Right. I was kind of stunned to hear you even say that.
But
I guess I can use that last segment as a best of throughout the season? No? Just updating.
Segment's dated once the season starts. And we're not doing another best stuff till after Thanksgiving.
That's true.
Or on Thanksgiving, for that matter.
Can you find that Brian Kelly clip or no?
The one of the reporter. Yeah.
Well, can you find it now? Like, can we run it as soon as you find it or no?
Okay.
I mean, if not, but
I'll see what I can do.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour." Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Our weekly conversation with Seth Everett's about 15 minutes away. Our poll question, got it up early today. Simple. NFL season kicks off tomorrow. Who's going to win more games, Bucs or Dolphins? A lot of hype around the Dolphins, a lot of excitement, a lot of people jumping on the Dolphins playoff train. And if you're making the playoffs in the AFC, it's at least 10. Maybe 11's needed. Conference is loaded.
It was why 10 ended up being the number for me, because I do think teams are going to beat one another up a little bit.
And that makes sense. It'd be tough to get 7 teams to 11.
Right. And I mean, as you talked about with the way you predicted the West, you have every team with a winning record. Well, if that's the case, that's a lot of 4-2s and 3-3s in division. It just makes it difficult to get to those 11 and 12 numbers when you're winning only 3 or 4 games in your division.
So that's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, floridasportsnetwork.com.
People loving the Bucs in this one. This is one of those easy ones, they say.
Gotcha.
But we went from 3-4 to less than 6-10 picking the Bucs as this thing has progressed during the show.
Well, I mean, Dolph fans are fired up. Not only that, Pat Kerwin on the show yesterday actually picking the Saints to win the division. First 4 tough for Tampa Bay. Then again, we thought the first 4 would be tough for the Gators.
They still might be.
Right. But you got to feel better about your chances at home against Kentucky this Saturday than maybe you were thinking a week ago at this time.
Well, as Bud Elliott pointed out, they've got some suspensions they're dealing with at Kentucky. Their offensive line did not look particularly good against Miami of Ohio a week ago. And by all accounts, Florida got through the Utah game healthy.
Yes, and they need to because they're not very deep. Have some talent, but not very deep. So did you see the Brian Kelly clip?
Obviously not live, but I have now seen it.
All right. For those that don't know, LSU coach Brian Kelly, he, had his weekly media session yesterday. And obviously Sunday night, they lost to Florida State close at the end. And as is often the case, a coach will walk up to the podium and just talk for a couple minutes. And then when the coach is ready, the coach says, now I'll open it up to some questions. So Brian Kelly told the assembled media, we'll open it up to this late arriving media crowd that must have enjoyed the weekend. All right. That's usually $10 and we put it in the kitty. And I'll tell you what, we'll have a big bash at the end of the year at my place. Now, we all know people in our lives who are not funny, who try to be funny.
All the time.
And sometimes they even are a little funny, but don't deliver it as if it's a comedic line.
Something you should think about in this situation, because my wife will often say to me, can I tell you something funny? And I'll look her dead in the eye and say, I don't know. That's not the answer you should give.
By the way, that is moderately funny.
Thank you.
That's why of the two of you, you're the funnier
Right,
one.
right. Can I tell you something funny? Oh, well, I'll be the judge of that.
Don't know. I've been with you about 12 years. So far, the answer's not so much, but okay, give it a shot. Okay. Now, unfortunately for you, God has a sense of humor because the funniest one in your family is going to be your daughter.
Oh,
and she's going to be giving it to you the rest of your life.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I think you're saying that from past experiences, David. I think you're well aware of how this works out.
I sure do. Been through it, Mark. Good luck is all I can say. Good luck. So now, when you saw it, all right, did you think Brian Kelly was trying to tell a joke?
I did.
Right.
I did. I didn't think he was being a smart ass.
No. I mean,
He's a bad joke teller.
Yes, he is.
He's not funny.
No.
Someone needs to sit him down and say,
Well.
Brian, you're not funny.
He's cringe. He is super cringe. Have you seen the TikTok videos and with the recruits
Yes.
and the
Yes, there's no doubt. And once again, what's he trying to do? He's trying to be something that he's not.
and yeah.
A, cool. B, trendy. C, funny. Brian's none of the three. Here's where I thought, okay, come on, you have to take this as a funny line. And tell you what, here, now, obviously, you can't see it, and half of a joke is being able to see facial expressions and what have you. But here, listen to this. How does it sound to you?
We'll open it up to this late arriving media crowd that must have enjoyed the weekend. That's usually $10 that we put in the kitty. We'll have a big bash at the end of the year at my place. I don't think it has anything to do with winning.
And
it has to do with being on time.
And you didn't catch that there because it was a little underneath it. But one of the female reporters says, maybe if you'd win, I'd be on time.
Now, if you were to hear it again, there are a couple of male reporters that are actually chuckling
Yes.
at what he said. They took it as, oh, okay, you're making a joke. Put it this way. He used the word kitty. That's usually $10 that we put in the kitty.
Right.
I mean, come on. It seemed obvious.
He's
to
making
us.
a joke.
He's trying. He's really trying. Okay. Right.
But she didn't like that it was directed at her, and she got her horns up and snapped back with a,
right.
Put it this way, came back at him with a better line than he delivered. No matter how you slice it. Maybe if you'd win, we'd be on time.
Really?
It's a better line. I'm not saying it's appropriate. David, I'm not by any means saying it's appropriate. There are good, David, as someone who has uttered a lot of good lines in meetings that have gotten a lot of people in the room to laugh.
Right.
It's also cost me at least 2 jobs.
that get her another job somewhere if she gets fired.
Okay.
In a snap.
And you know what? Maybe, which is good because I think she's 48 hours away from losing the LSU beat. But
she's a savage for that one. I love her.
And you listen, anybody who's listening to this show knows I am pro media. I mean, 99% of the time, pro media. If I was LSU, she would never attend anything for the rest of the year. Absolutely. First off, who the blank are you? Secondly, my coach was not being disrespectful. Okay. You were being disrespectful. Okay.
And because you were being disrespectful, you took what he said as being disrespectful when all it was a harmless joke.
Yeah. And so obviously you can't cover him in this team objectively. Sorry. All right. Honestly, if I was LSU, and I'm never like this, never. And I get freedom of the press. Listen, not her. No. I don't know what organization she represents. If I was LSU, I would just say, just so you know, she ain't getting a pass for anything the rest of the year. The rest of the year. Absolutely not. Because here's my question. Hey, we have criticized, and goodness knows, I think the national media, they don't ask the right questions, and they're too scared to. But that is inappropriate. That is out of line.
You mean to show up late and then take a shot at the coach for being late? Yeah,
I could be wrong, a little uptight on this one maybe, but seriously, if I was LSU, she'd be done.
Miller and Moulton. Seth Everett is next right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He was super chill, and I said I still owe him $10. And someone tweeted at her, if you worked for me, you'd be fired. Could you be more unprofessional?
Well, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello?
If you want, lead me in when we are on the radio. I was never late for a press conference, but I did fall asleep during one. Pretty funny.
Hold on to that.
Yeah.
Hold on to that.
It's an oldie. It's an oldie but goodie. Just playing the hits.
I bet every Notre Dame fan liked that.
Yes. It's funny. I don't know how popular he was when he was winning it.
No, he's not. They think he's an a-hole. They don't like Brian Kelly.
No.
Oh, with the fake accent?
Well, that's at LSU.
I don't think Notre Dame fan liked Brian Kelly.
Oh.
Just one of those, kind of like how Florida fan is with Urban Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
He was their hired gun.
Yeah, Fox did a really big deal, a big announcement burying Urban Meyer's hiring on a Friday afternoon.
Yes, they did. But he's a part of the show. That's all that counts.
My Apple TV can't find Urban Meyer. He's blocked.
Fox college football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I was gonna say.
I will say I went to a Jersey Mike's yesterday, and I guess is Jersey Mike's like a major sponsor of the Fox pregame or something, because there was a banner ad like above their meats section, and it had Fox and college football in like the top left corner of it, and then it had like a football and Jersey Mike's, and thinking
Jersey Mike's is one of the big sponsors of the Open too.
Yeah, I know they're doing a big thing of giving money.
Yep.
That whole 2-day giving thing. I've seen Chrissy doing the ads.
Yep. How about Chris Everett's son getting married during the weekend of the U.S. Open? Come on. That's like my sister getting married during the World Series when I worked for baseball.
Did that actually happen?
It's all right. I got married during football season, and I do a talk show. It was the only time that it worked. Thanksgiving weekend.
Josh Beckett doesn't shut out the Yankees. I missed Game 7 of the World Series for my sister's wedding.
Ooh.
I would have been getting heat.
Oh, come on. People are giving you heat. It's your sister's wedding. You got to go.
They told us, they were like 4 days, don't take off. Opening day, the All-Star game, and the World Series.
The best Jersey Mike's ad.
What would you have done?
I would have gone to the wedding, taken the risk.
Would you have done a really good toast on?
It would have been brought up.
May have cost you a job.
Well, I was single at my sister's wedding, so I said, for those of you who don't know, I'm Seth, Emily's brother, and for any single ladies out there, I'm Seth, Emily's brother. That was in my speech.
That's well done. That's nice. They still married?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The Angels are sponsored by Jersey Mike's. So Mike Trout from New Jersey stands in front of a wall that says Jersey Mike's.
Well, and it's true. Jersey Mike started at the Jersey Shore. So, and he's a Southern Jersey guy.
Mike, Jersey Mike.
Sue Bird retired.
Yes, her last game last night.
Hmm.
Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Now, before we welcome Seth Everett, and I'm sure he's got a story, we do need to just put a bow on the segment we just did, which was the reporter and Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly made a joke about the media being late to his little press event. He said that's $10. We throw it in the kitty. We'll have a party at the end of the year at my place. And a female reporter shot back, well, if you'd won, I would have been on time.
And that reporter's name is Lee Vann. She works for the Advocate in Baton Rouge, which is the main paper, obviously. She tweeted out shortly thereafter, press conference was at noon. I was running from a doctor's appointment, got there at 11:57. Brian Kelly called me out. I said jokingly, I owed him $10. I said if he'd have won, maybe I'd be on time. Not my finest hour. I apologized afterward. He was super chill, and I said I still owe him $10.
So there you have it. So that's the story in full.
She is a Texas grad.
Okay.
For the record.
All right.
Not an Alabama grad.
Not a Notre Dame grad.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's the full story. And with that, we welcome in Seth Everett. And for those of you on Twitch, you get to see Seth's weekly appearance on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. And Seth shamelessly this week, because Syracuse won their football opener, even though he has no faith in the football team or program this year, shamelessly wearing his Syracuse shirt. Hello, Seth.
Good morning. I had the double TV set up. I was watching the U.S. Open with the kids, and I had the Cuse Louisville game on my little TV on the side, and we had a big multimedia extravaganza Saturday night.
Have you ever thrown a barb at a coach during a press conference? I could see that being something that would be in the Seth Everett resume.
Well, I thought of two. I've had coaches throw barbs at me. No question about that. I remember I was covering the Broncos, and it was in the off season. I was working in Denver, and I get asked to go to Boulder for Colorado's announcement of their signings. It's a letter of intent day.
Right.
So, and the schedule said that the press conference was going to be at 3 p.m. I was 23 years old. I tied one on, and I could sleep till noon and still get there at 3 o'clock. It's 20 minutes away. And they changed it overnight. They changed the press conference to 10 o'clock. So now I'm working on no sleep, and Rick Neuheisel is going on and on about, I remember being in this kid's living room, and I told him he's going to be a star, and blah, 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 and I passed out. And at the end of the press conference,
wait. You what?
I fell asleep. Oh, I fell asleep. And it was so boring. And I went at the end to get your little microphone, because everybody had individual recorders and stuff. And I went to get my microphone, and he made a comment. He just said, you're going to stay awake next time or something like that. And I go, ha, ha, ha. And then as Colorado's season went on, Rick Neuheisel was getting a bad rep as being a slimy guy, like not very honest and kind of a car salesman type. So fast forward 3 years, I get the job in Seattle, and I'm a talk show host now. And Rick Neuheisel gets hired to be the coach of Washington. And as he's in the airport, he lands at SeaTac Airport. And as he turns on the radio, and I just said, I don't think this is a good hire. When I was in Denver, he was known as this car salesman, snake oil salesman. Like, what do we need this guy for? And the next day, he shows up in studio.
Okay.
And he shakes everybody's hand. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And he looks right at me, and he says, "You going to stay awake this time?" 3 years later.
Gotcha.
Yep. So that's where my brain went when you guys were telling that story.
We've all told ours over the years, so I don't want to tell the story for another time. But needless to say, I've been called out a few times.
I can imagine that. The only time I was called out by a coach was when I was an intern for a hockey team. And it's a playoff game, and I'm the guy in charge of all the crap that goes on, that they bringing the contestants out to play silly little dumb game. And my boss, who was our market director, is a public address announcer as well. He's on the ice screaming at me. I'm waiting because Dwayne Sutter's the coach of the team in Indianapolis, legendary hockey family, and he's barking at the referee. I have to wait for them to get off the ice before we can come on the ice. And I've got my boss yelling to bring people out there, and I'm waiting in the little entrance by the Zamboni doors. And Sutter comes off, and the only person in the suit was me. And he just, for whatever reason, lights me up. Oh, because they're here to see you. They don't care about the game. And I mean, it is a full-on Canadian tirade of expletives. And I am standing there going, it's Dwayne Sutter, and he's screaming at me.
Well, since you're in football season mode with the season starting in a couple of days, do you remember the preseason game? This is in '98 when the Broncos played the Dolphins in Mexico, and John Elway got hurt. And this was the year they beat the Packers in the Super Bowl. And the story was that if John Elway was seriously hurt, he was going to retire. So it was a pretty big story in Denver. And the Rockies were in an afternoon game. So KOA couldn't air the press conference. The fan in Denver was the only station that could air the press conference. And I had these giant headphones, and I couldn't hear anything. And Mike Shanahan comes out, and he says, well, John's, it's just a sprain. He's going to be okay. He's going to miss the rest of the preseason. And I take a step back because my boss insisted that I ID the radio station. So now I take a step back, and I go, you're listening to the Mike Shanahan press conference on AM 950, The Fan. And I don't hear what the other reporter next to me is asking. But I step back in. They know I'm live. So Shanahan looks right at me, and I said, so, Coach, who are going to be who's going to play quarterback during the rest of the preseason? Mike Shanahan looks at me and goes, they're right about you. You don't listen.
Well, at least he knows who you are. Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and Text Stream, by the way, are the 3 podcasts in which you get to decide for yourself whether or not Seth is actually listening to his guests or his co-hosts. You can follow Seth on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Listen, I know you don't do baseball anymore full time, but I do have to ask you this question. You think the Rays are going to catch the Yankees?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm kind of pulling for it. I just like to hear the nervous Nellies on social media that have been absolutely phenomenal. Panicking when it was 13, then when it got down to 11, then when it got down to 9, 5 or 4. The Yankees are an absolute mess, and I'm here for it. The Rays have been super fun.
It's 4.5, by the way, 4 in the loss column. Rays have 1 more with the Red Sox. Yankees have a doubleheader with the Twins, I believe, and then they get it on 3 games in the Bronx this weekend.
I hope you're right, Seth. Just looking at the schedule down the road, I bunch of games with Toronto for the Rays. I see this being a lot more difficult than you do, but
I'm here for it. If it doesn't happen, it's not going to change, my life one way or the other. But I love the panic in the streets of New York are just palpable.
But it will change things with the Yankees. I mean, if a collapse like this happens, Seth, you've been around this sport a long time. This would be a fire sale in New York, wouldn't it? I mean,
Aaron Boone would be gone. The big question for the Yankees is what are you doing with Aaron Judge? I mean, do you sign him or not? And there's all kinds of rumors. San Francisco wants to make a play for him, and he's going to test the free agent market, and all that stuff. So you're going to have a major change in that franchise no matter what. If Aaron Judge leaves the Yankees and not in a trade, that's a major shuffle of that whole franchise. He's carrying that team.
Well, Seth, and I know, you're friendly with Cashman and all that, but I'm telling you right now, if the Yankees don't win the East, Brian Cashman's done.
Well, he's also been the GM for, I think, my entire professional career.
And so, I mean, I think it'll be one of those deals in which they go, listen, 25 years, he's done a lot, but clearly it's time. We need to go in a different direction.
He'll start a podcast.
You're right. He could start a podcast, maybe Sports with Friends.
He'll be on. I could have him on. I'm getting Buck Showalter on. I could get Brian Cashman on.
Are you going to be honest with Buck Showalter?
Oh, totally. Totally.
Okay, no, hold on now. You don't know where I'm coming from. I mean, so that Buck knows just how much you don't like the Mets.
Oh, totally.
How much you're still rooting for the Mets and the Hex, okay, because of how they mistreated you and your late best friend. So does Buck know, the
firestorm
that he's
but I've been very pro Mets these days because they got me parking. They got me on the parking list when I went to the U.S. Open. So there are times to say there's still some people, and it was really funny.
You are such a member of the media, Seth.
My friend, but my friend
now than I ever have before.
My daughter's really good friend is a ball girl at the U.S. Open,
right?
And so her parents have been having to drive her to Queens every day. I mean, to work this Open, and the mom, she works, but she works remotely. And I said, I could call over. I still have some friends over at the Mets. They have empty offices because now the Mets are on the road. I said, I could get you an office so like you can drop the kid off and then go do some work. You can go into one of the booths or something, and she might take me up on it. And she's like, oh yeah, you have some friends over there? And my kid just goes, yeah, but you hate them.
Seth sent out a tweet the other day with his late best friend. And which he's holding a sign that says the Hex still lives as the Mets are losing 3 in a row. And, I teased this stat and didn't mention it. The Mets have done something the last 3 games, which hasn't been done in Major League Baseball since 1938. They're a team that was 35 or more games above 500, losing 3 in a row to teams that were 35 or more games below 500. The 38 Yankees apparently were the last team to pull off what has happened in the last 3 days.
Yeah, those 38 Yankees were on Apple TV Plus.
The first 2, and I think the last one was a TBS game. I'm not positive about that.
All right, as long as it's not Peacock.
Well,
Zing.
yep, we're all there for that one. I'm curious, Seth, because you mentioned Peacock, but Amazon getting started a week from Thursday with their NFL. Just you've kind of transitioned off of baseball. We know that, but you've been fascinated by this media thing. What are you getting any discussion, any feedback, even though Amazon hasn't started yet? I checked out the preseason game. It was really easy to get to. That was the first test for me. What are the tests that you're looking at to make sure this works the way they expect it to?
Well, I have no doubt the broadcast is going to look professional and top flight, and it's going to look great. The problem is the infrastructure for the internet in this country is inconsistent. There are going to be cities where sports bars are not going to have the bandwidth to be able to stream it, and that's a real shame. We're not there yet, and that's going to be a problem. There are going to be people who
got the deal with DirecTV for the sports bars for this year for Amazon. So
but that'll be for Sunday Ticket, not for this. And so the idea that the Amazon game has to be, Amazon made that deal with DirecTV. Okay, I missed it.
Yeah.
To me, the key is going to be accessibility. I think that, as you said, the everybody has the Prime. If you have it, if you don't have Prime yet, you're not getting it. And I wonder how many people sign up and just how they incorporate shopping into the experience. I also know there's going to be multiple different feeds. So if you don't want to see Al Michaels, you see the women. It's going to be a great experience.
I do think it'll be revolutionary. I just don't know how many people will take it in. For the record, 14 million people watched Thursday Night Football last year on a weekly basis. 14. I'm wondering if I put the number at 4 this year.
Do they hit it?
I mean, think about that. That's losing over 70% of your audience. I'll be curious. Seth, very quickly, I have about a minute. Go.
Sports with Friends is our NFL preview show. Mark Schlereth from the NFL on Fox and 104, The Fan in Denver. A longtime friend. Covered him when he was with the Broncos, even though he never talked to the media. Now he's the king of media. So he's great. Hall of Justice, the 300th episode. We took last week off, and it is none other than Phil Morris. Now, you might not know his name, but Phil Morris is Jackie Childs, the Kramer's lawyer on Seinfeld. Who told you to put the bomb on? Phil Morris has been in over 200 things, and all I did was take a list of all the superhero-related things, plus Seinfeld, and he was on Knight Rider, and he was on Cheers. Phil Morris is the best. He's the Hall of Justice. And TechStream took this week off because of Labor Day.
Great. That's fantastic. Love that last plug. He's Seth Everett, Sports with Friends, Hall of Justice, and TechStream. Follow him on Twitter at Seth_Everett. Seth, all the best to you and the family, and good luck getting that office for, your daughter's friend's mom.
I got a lot of friends over there.
Right, but you hate them. Seth Everett joining us here on Miller and Moulton. For those listening, Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, thanks for spending time with us. Have a great rest of your day. For those in Southwest Florida, the bonus hour is next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Gotta go 2 miles so they get to the road that's got the strip malls and the, places to bank and eat and Starbucks and.
What is does the wife have the coffee maker, or does she use the little cups? What's the home?
She does. It's funny. I said to her, "So what is it you want me to bring?" And she only had like 3 things, and one of them was the coffee maker.
Oh yeah.
So she's got the perfect size for one coffee maker.
Oh, that's right. I saw that in the kitchen. It's the little coffee maker.
Yeah, it's like 2.5,
Yeah.
cups. Right.
I'd use that as a mug.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I do love the end of that Honda commercial where they show just the wing of a plane, hybrid plane is like and it says underneath it's a concept thing, but it's like, all right, I thought that was pretty good. Has there ever been a Jag in a commercial?
No, I thought that when I saw it a month ago, I went, I'll be damned. I'll be damned. No, a national ad with a Jacksonville Jaguar? Hell no. No way. Five tickets, outfield wall, less than $100, less than $20 a ticket. Absolutely. Left field wall or right field wall? Because the left field wall is like that Bud area. Isn't that like where the bar is? Right center. Okay. I want to sit in that small section in center field, that little mezzanine section. It looks like it holds like 150 people. That's where I want to sit. When I toured that stadium, I loved that view. Yeah, Bourbon. I mean, you guys play more teams or more games anyway against teams with winning records than the Mets. But, the Mets allowing you guys to pick up 3 games against the Nats and the Pirates, that's going to come back and cost them.
All right. The Yankees have, after this Twins, they got the Rays, Red Sox, Brewers, Pirates, Red Sox, Jays, Orioles, Rangers.
Well, only Pirates, Rangers are teams with losing records. Everybody else is a winning
I got
record.
you. I got you. But Tampa goes Yankees, Jays for 2. Or no, they've got 5 with the Jays.
30 seconds.
Then the Rangers, Astros, 4 more with the Jays, Guardians, Astros, Red Sox. I just think their schedule's too damn tough.
Okay.
15 seconds.
Yes, Bourbon. Yep. 7 games against the Phillies.
I
Here
saw
you
it
go.
just.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour, Miller and Moulton, Hump Day edition. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You can take in the show on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. We're very thankful for those of you that do. And then follow and subscribe and all that stuff that goes with it. Thank you very much. Poll question. NFL season kicks off tomorrow night, so you got to start making some picks, folks. One of the questions we asked, so who's going to have more wins, Bucks or Dolphins? What, 2-1 Bucks so far?
It was, and it has been, yeah, I think that's about where we're at now. It's been going in fits and starts. So 62% Bucks right now.
All right, 5 out of 8 of you. I think Tampa Bay is going to have more wins than Miami. I think we'll all agree it's easier to make the playoffs in the NFC than the AFC. So is 10 going to be enough? I think it's going to be the right combination of 10. Like the Steelers made it at 9-7-1 last year. I don't think there's a chance that a team makes the playoffs in the AFC with less than 10. And I've got, for what it's worth, we made our NFL picks 1 hour ago. I have a 4-way tie at 10-7 for 2 wildcard spots. So I have 2 teams with 10 wins missing the playoffs in the AFC. And everybody in the NFC, I have making the playoffs at 10. The second place team out for me was Dallas.
Yeah, I had 9-8 getting in the NFC with New Orleans and San Francisco both having a 9-8 mark. They do play one another, so I guess I have New Orleans beating San Francisco in that game if I've got the Saints in the postseason.
So season gets underway tomorrow night. Money must be coming in on the Bills. What is that up to? 2.5, 3 now? Some places
2.5 is the last one I saw it at, but
Buffalo, a road favorite against the defending Super Bowl champions. Say this, the Bills did not have a very good record last year against the better teams that they played. And their schedule's harder this year than last. So, and listen, you and I are both on the bandwagon. We are.
I think they're better than they were a year ago. I think they're a really good team that got better over the course of the offseason.
But in theory, they need to be, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
And they did go 11-6 last year. For as good as they were on paper, I mean, I think if you looked at the Bills, they were in the top 25%, both offensively and defensively, yet managed to lose 6 games. I mean, that Jacksonville loss cost them the 2 seed. In theory, they're hosting the Chiefs in the divisional round. Does the game therefore end the way it ended if they're hosting it? They then would have hosted the AFC Championship game. I mean, the Colts didn't make the playoffs because they lost to the Jags. You could argue the Bills didn't go to the Super Bowl because they lost to the Jags. And the Dolphins missed the playoffs by 1 game because they lost to the Jags. It is amazing the significance of the 3 Jags wins last year.
It's astonishing. I mean, it's absolutely crazy that a team could be that bad and have that much to do with how the league finished.
3 winning teams that they beat and didn't beat anybody else.
But I think the difference to me between Buffalo this year and last year is they're not losing that game against the Jags. They're not blowing the game against Pittsburgh they did in week 1.
Are you sure?
Yes, I am. I'm
Okay.
positive.
All right.
I wouldn't have picked them to win the Super Bowl if I had any apprehension towards those picks. Now, you and I both know I don't know what the hell's going on. So that's just one man's opinion. But everything that I've read, everything that I've heard, everybody that we've talked to says that it's even been different in Buffalo and camp this year, that they understand what's in front of them, and that it has been a business-like approach from day one.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl or bust. And I think they realize it. We have had upstart teams more so than there used to be in the NFL. There used to be a rite of passage. You had to, much like the NBA, you had to earn, your way. Like, before the 85 Bears, well, it took the Bears a few years to build up. And then in 84, they win the division. They beat Washington in Washington in a playoff game to get to the NFC Championship game where they get drilled. And then the 85 season happens. The Giants in the 80s made the playoffs 3 times, but couldn't get past the divisional round, kept losing to the eventual NFC champion. And then in 86, it was like, okay, this is our year. And the Giants took the necessary steps. To me, this is what it looks and feels like with Buffalo. Okay, now, you've made the playoffs 3 of the last 4 years. The last 2, in fact, you went somewhere and you were dangerously close to going to the end.
And to your point of building on what you've done and having to take out the champion and get past the team that had stopped you, we all believe Kansas City's taken a significant step back at the same time that Buffalo's trying to make their move. And while we think the AFC is so deep and so great, after Buffalo, who's the great team in the AFC? Where are you willing to put that bet that this team can get to 13 games? And that, to me, is the difference between Buffalo and everyone else. I don't see it.
You know what is interesting? How come there's very little faith in the Bengals? Who's talking up the Bengals? They're better than they were last year. They invested heavily in the weakest area of the team last year, the offensive line. The offensive line is noticeably better this year than it was last year. And most of the rest of the team is identical. And yet none of us are talking up the Bengals. So forget the playoff run, because anything can happen in the playoffs. You can be one and done. But they won 10 games last year. And everybody will say the roster is better this year than last. Now, they played a lot of close games last year. Won their share, lost their share. I mean, those that want to make the case they could have won 12 games last year, well, they also could have won 8. All right. They won 10 and it was enough. They got caught a break. Lamar got hurt, the whole deal. But not many people really talking up the Bengals. And is it because of their last name?
100%. It's that, and I think the fact that he was sacked so much, and I know they invest in their offensive line. The offensive line is going to have to be a hell of a lot better. And I actually believe, the other side of it, no one's really giving Joe Burrow any chance for improvement. Because part of the reason they were sacked that much is that Joe Burrow hung onto the ball too long. He's going to get better at that. This is year 3. Josh Allen did pretty good from year 2 to year 3.
Yeah, it was kind of a big jump. 58% to like 72%.
Interesting first 6 for Cincinnati. They open with the Steelers at home. But then they play 4 of their next 5 on the road. They're at Dallas. Difficult game. They're at the Jets, one they should win. They come home for a Thursday against the Dolphins. And then at the Ravens, at the Saints.
The Bills, first part of their season, we find out right away, hey, you guys up to being the hunted? Because they got a bunch of good games. on their early season schedule. I will say this, the AFC East teams play a significantly harder schedule on paper than the schedule they ended up playing last year. So while we all think the Dolphins are better than they were a year ago, well, they only won 9 last year. So if you think, you know what, they're 2 games better this year. Okay, well, their schedule's at least a game harder. At least. So whatever gains the Dolphins have made, the schedule could negate a good chunk of it. You know, we've talked about that brutal road trip. They have a 3-game road trip in December in which they're playing San Francisco, they're playing the Chargers, they play the Bills, then they come home to play the Packers before going to New England. I mean, this is December and early January. They're playing 4 out of 5 on the road. 2 of the games in Buffalo and New England. The home games, Green Bay. How many games are they going to be favored in that stretch? Even if it's 3-4 point dogs, still. At San Francisco, at the Chargers, at the Bills, home for the Packers, at the Patriots.
Miami's got to be really good at home. I know everybody does, but there are so many toss-up games that you look at on paper right now. The Vikings, team that we both think's a playoff team, come to Miami. You're going to make the playoffs. You're going to win that football game.
Correct. Also, like their first 4 games are hard. And we just went through their last 6 or so are very challenging. I mean, let's just say they get off to a 2-2 start. Well, then they better start crushing it.
Yeah, then that middle 6, if they're 2-2 after 4, then they better really make some hay, and they can't lose to Detroit. They can't lose to Chicago. They can't lose to Houston. I mean, we all get it. But the difference between this year and last year, Miami lost that game to Jacksonville a year ago. You cannot afford, and I think that's really what David and I are talking about here. If you're in the AFC, it may not be looking at who you beat when the final playoff teams are determined. It may be what game did you give up that you absolutely could not give up.
The old adage of when the schedule maker gives you a win this year in the AFC, it'll be real easy to tell the teams that just missed the playoffs because they'll all have a Miami, Jacksonville, London game that they let get away. Miller and Moulton. When we come back, one of the teams that we briefly mentioned, a little bit of news concerning their quarterback.
Look at that. That's a tease.
Well, I mean, you know, Greeny would have stretched it out a little bit longer. You know, Entertainment Tonight would have had some, you know, sexy video associated with it.
Definitely
like
some
that.
sound.
Right.
But dun, dun, dun. You know, one of those has to go into that every
No
time.
doubt. But so some news involving a franchise quarterback, a star quarterback, and may not be good news. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All coming up in roughly 25 minutes' time. We thank you so much for listening. Miller and Moulton, where else but right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The Reds clinched the NL East today, or NL West rather, in 75. Sorry, had my geography wrong. You know, they're in Cincinnati after all.
Yep, playing in the West.
The A's today in 1980 pitched their record 78th complete game of the season.
Billy Martin.
The A's. No, not the American League. That's more complete games than we have in baseball this year. And it ain't close, I bet you.
Billy Martin ran that pitching staff into the ground.
You haven't seen the episode with Tyreek Hill. He said, if I'm DMing a girl, my main pickup line is, what do I say? I'd be like, don't forget about me. And that's all I got to say. Look at this, bro. And Julia, don't forget about me. That's a good friend of mine. Tyreek, you dirty dog.
Oh, Jake Paul handled that pretty well. I actually think Jake Paul handled that really well.
15 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll question available on the website and at that Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. Who's going to win more games this year, Bucks or the Dolphins? Season kicks off tomorrow night in Los Angeles, Bills and Rams. One of the big storylines between now and Sunday, will the Ravens and Lamar come to a deal? Appearances are no. And that it's guaranteed money. That is clearly the big holdup. And while we don't know the specifics, we could guess them. Ravens most likely sticking to the standard 70%. And reportedly, Lamar the whole time has been like, hey, Deshaun got his fully guaranteed. Don't see why I should have to leave a dime on the table.
If you were Lamar and they offered you a 3-year Kirk Cousins guaranteed contract.
Well, I'd want more, if you know what I mean.
No, I know. Well, I'm sorry. Let me just split, because he's better than Kirk Cousins. We all know that. But Kirk's been getting guaranteed deals, and no one talks about this. We brought this up on the show countless times, that Deshaun Watson's contract's the one that gets talked about. But Kirk Cousins has gotten paid, and he's gotten all his money, and he's signed deals of the like, but they've been shorter deals.
Right.
So what if it were 4 years and all guaranteed? Do you think Lamar would sign it?
Well, let's go back to your first offer. Let's just say they only want to do 3. Now, you got to remember, it's final year of his rookie deal. They can go tag. So, in theory, the Ravens are thinking, well, we got him for 3. It's just, he may not like the terms, but we got him for 3. If I'm Lamar, though, here's my deal. You have to, the AAV, if you will, the average annual value of, it's got to be between Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers. Kyler Murray's 46-1 when this extension kicks in 2 years, and Aaron is a little over 50. I'm just letting you know right now, you want to play this game? I'll play this game. We'll do it 3 years. 3 for 150. You only want to do 3 years? Fine. By the way, you guarantee every dime.
Well, that's what it would have to be.
I'll do 3 for 150 right now. And my guess is they'd come back and they'd want to make it 3 for 141. Maybe they try to do less, but 141's 47 a year. That would still put you, above Kyler. Now it's not where Russell is now. Russell's at 49.
Yeah, Russell's got a ring.
Right. And been to the big game one other time and all that. So, 47, 47 and a half, 48. Sure, you want to guarantee it because in theory, Lamar could make a lot less the next 3 years playing it the Ravens way. If the Ravens just want to go final year of your rookie deal, and oh, by the way, tag, you're gonna leave $35 million on the table.
Which that's why if it's 3, it's guaranteed. He could probably get a chunk of it in a signing bonus, so he gets a bunch of money up front.
So you're talking 3-year extension, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we go 3 for 141, 47 a year, fully guaranteed. If I'm Lamar, I'd sign it. Absolutely, I'd sign it. He's 25. I don't think he's 26 till January. So if my math's correct, he'd basically play the seasons where he's 25, 26, 27, 28, and he's turning 29 at the very end of this contract. So he'll be a 29-year-old free agent saying, show me the money again. Oh, absolutely. I'd do the deal.
Another quarterback question I have for you. How does Brady have to do in these first 4 games to get Giselle to talk to him again? I mean, if he's 2-2 with what's a daunting schedule, is she going to speak to him? Because she's obviously still pissed off that he's playing football right now.
I don't think the 1-loss record's really going to matter at this point. I really don't. At this point, she's probably rooting against him. Not to get hurt, obviously, but, probably hopes they miss the playoffs. So this thing's over on, January 8th, I think. Final Sunday of the regular season.
Do you think she's bought a Verbo for somewhere in early January telling Tom we're going on another 11-day vacation?
I think she's really, yes. I mean, that first weekend of the playoffs, she's probably said, I don't know what to tell you, but
we're going to Hawaii. I don't know what to tell you. I've already booked it.
We're on vacation.
I've got the deposit down and everything, and they won't give it back.
Listen, I mean, I sympathize with her. I do. Your spouse, reportedly, gives you their word and then goes back on it. I could see where, that's a big deal. As someone who's been married 26 years, I could see where that would be, as Tim Brando would say, a fly in the ointment. But, I mean, she's got 2 choices. It's either leave or stay. Okay. And I mean, you could be really honked off. But in theory, in 5 months,
it's leave, stay. They're stay and hold a grudge for a long time.
Well, he'll be retired within 6 months. I mean, how long are you going to keep the grudge after that? He's
At
going to be
least
home.
6 months.
He's going to be home. He's going to be annoying the hell out of you. There's going to come a time in March or April in which you're going to wish he could go to minicamp.
He is. It's called being a broadcaster.
It's funny. I just don't see that happening.
I know you don't, but he did at least. I mean, you at least have to acknowledge the contract's been signed.
No, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's at least going to press the flesh with some sponsors. I mean, but if I was Fox, I'd fly all the sponsors down to their place in Miami. I mean, that's where they'll be. I mean, let them, host a party. Fox will pay for it. All they have to do is be the host and hostess with the mostest there. But I love the reports, by the way. I love celebrity reporting. I do. Because it's so horrendous. All right. And you really want to know. Like in sports, when they say unnamed source, they give you a level, though, of the unnamed source.
Yes.
I mean,
a source close to the family.
If it's coming from the front office or if it's coming from the coaching staff or whether it's an unnamed player or that sort of deal. And with celebrity reporting, I mean, honestly, it could have been somebody who served them their plane ticket one time. I mean, that's how far down the food chain this person could be. But Mark, here's what I know. Tom looks sad. One of my all-time favorite celebrity sentences that's been written in a while, that according to reports, quote, Tom looks sad.
Yeah, he hasn't had a drink since that Super Bowl party a year and a half ago, for crying out loud.
We don't know that. I mean, he was retired for 35 days there. He might have let his guard down.
You try to eat that diet and not be sad.
Please. Sad. I'd be an axe murderer. You put me on the Brady diet. Are you kidding me? 1, I can only eat X amount of food. 2, I have to eat that.
Right.
That. There's a reason I look the way I do. Okay?
No carbs, no meat, become a vegan.
What's the point? Live longer. Why? If this is all I get to eat, why do I want to live longer? No offense.
There is more to life than food, some would say. I don't know who any of those people are, David, but apparently there is more to life than food.
Really?
Yes.
I think it's on the Mount Rushmore. I got to be honest with you.
Can't survive without it as far as I know.
Right.
And if I'm going to have to survive with it, I'd like to enjoy it while I eat it.
More to life than food. Maybe occasionally
I mean, there is, gambling, sports, hell, even sex.
There's always the double cheeseburger. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts, flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The Euro players were like, what the fuck? And now I guess the deal is the top 10 guys on the DP World Tour get PGA Tour cards. And Westwood and Garcia are like, how fucking stupid is that? So you're giving away your best players every year? Okay. Horschel had a presser in which he said, listen, there are some guys here who have been, stalwart European players for a long time. They've played, I guess, whatever this event is they're playing beginning tomorrow.
Okay.
And he says, listen, these guys have played this event for years. They've supported the DP World Tour. I have no problems with them playing here. Okay. But then he goes, the Taylor Gooches and what have you, they're strictly here to get world golf ranking points because they can't with where they're playing now. He goes, and I have no respect for them at all. They shouldn't be here. Okay. All right.
Okay.
And like he also said, he goes, there are some guys that are playing here who, when they left, said, they wanted to play less. He goes, then why are you playing here? He goes, now the Euros never said that. He said the Euros actually were very public about they wanted to support both their ventures. So I guess that's going to court, by the way, early next year. Like the stay that Poulter and them got.
Yeah.
It's why they're able to play in these events.
Okay.
Apparently that case is not going to be heard till early next year. Oh, so Cam Smith, when you win the players, you get a parking spot for a year with your name on it. They took it away. It simply just says for PGA Tour members only. Okay, they took his name off it. They took all, I guess when you win it, they put you up in the pictures in the club and what have you, all down. Something about his golf bag and what have you that they had removed it. The whole deal.
Couldn't be more petty.
No.
What's Eli? Is he pumping Omaha Productions here? Is that what this is?
I'm guessing they're pumping.
Well, he did Dan Patrick today.
I'm guessing they did Manning cast for
Yeah.
week one. Well, and I don't think Luzinski was still on the Phillies in 80, right? When they won. Was Luzinski on that team, or had they gotten rid of him by then? No, he was on the team. Yeah. You're right. His last year with the Phillies. He wasn't a regular anymore, though. He didn't have a good year. Only played 106 games. He had 228.
Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Let's see, tomorrow's Thursday, right?
That's right.
So we'll have our weekly chat with Pro Football Network. We'll have Roy Cummings. And for the first time this year, the doctor makes a house call. Dr. Roto on the show at 8:35 every Thursday here on Miller and Moulton.
It's reason enough to join our Twitch crowd just to get your questions in with David for tomorrow with Dr. Roto.
With me?
Yeah, you kind of handle the Twitch questions. I handle the text questions.
Oh, gotcha. I thought
kind of how we've done that.
That's true. I thought you were implying that I was going to be,
no,
asking all these great fantasy questions.
You might.
Because I, have such an interest. I'm such an active player.
Yeah, but you are interested in matchups. And in a week where
yes,
I looked at the NFL schedule and lines and nothing jumped off the page at me. So I'm kind of looking at Roto to help answer some questions in these games with where he finds some matchups that people could take advantage of on Sunday, not just for fantasy, but maybe to pick a few winners against the number as well.
So there's that.
That's all.
Gotcha. So that's our show tomorrow. We're not
It's
done
time
today.
for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
1892 today, James Corbett, a 4-1 dog, taking on John L. Sullivan. He would win in 21 with a knockout. It was Sullivan's only defeat in his last fight. The Boulder Dam, now called the Hoover Dam, begins operation today in 1936. Today in 1940 was the first of 57 consecutive nights of bombing in World War I as the beginning of the Blitz happened in Britain. Bobby Riggs wins the U.S. National Championship in tennis in 41. In 55, Whitey Ford becomes the fifth MLB pitcher to hurl consecutive one-hitters. What's more impressive to you, David, a no-hitter or someone who throws consecutive one-hitters?
Consecutive one-hitters.
I'm with you. 1968 U.S. Open, the first Open-era singles title. Virginia Wade beats Billie Jean King in straight sets. In 74, Billie Jean King would win her fourth and final U.S. Open. 1975, the Cincinnati Reds would clinch the NL division title, the West, earliest clinching ever.
So September 7th, they clinched the West. I guess this season ended. Wow, they must have been up like 22 games or something like that. That's impressive.
77, Jimmy Carter signs over the Panama Canal to Panama. They'd get it in 1999. Today in 1979, on your cable dial somewhere, the Entertainment and Sports Programming Network makes its debut.
It's changed America.
Oh, there's no doubt.
I mean, forget changing television. Change this country.
We have children named Espen because of this damn network.
Well, that's
a personal problem, but it
right.
Still exists.
43 years old, huh? How do you think it's doing at 43? Do you think it peaked?
It's having a midlife crisis is what I think.
You think? Do you think it peaked in its teens or 20s?
I think both.
Because obviously the 90s would be the teens. You know, that's when SportsCenter peaked.
Right.
But ESPN, I mean, you know, think about all the properties they have now.
And the fact of the matter is college football changed a lot because of ESPN. So it's still a big part of the sports landscape in determining what happens.
It is fascinating that it's in its infancy, and as it was growing up, so to speak, its biggest influence was in college basketball. And you're right. Now its biggest influence, you could argue, is in college football.
Two things happened in 1980 today. One's relevant. The other one's really just for David and I. But U.S. Open, McEnroe beats Borg in a great 5-setter. And the Oakland A's pitched their record 78th complete game of the season today.
Say that out loud again.
The Oakland A's pitched their 78th complete game of the season.
1980, Billy Martin, their manager, I believe. And he ran that staff into the ground.
Today in 86, the Browns became the first NFL team to have a play reviewed by instant replay. They'd lose the game to Chicago by 10. Dan Marino today for the Dolphins would throw his 100th career touchdown pass, becoming the fastest QB in NFL history to do so.
Best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl?
I don't know that
I don't think it's arguable.
I mean, trying to think, you know, like you could debate it with basketball. You know, best player to not win a ring, but I mean, put it this way, is there somebody else that's even in the conversation?
No.
I mean, he's really the only one that gets mentioned, right? I mean, well, you know, I mean, Jim Kelly, Fran Tarkenton, I mean, these are Hall of Famers. They all never won, but most just bring up Marino.
91, Monica Seles beats Martina for her first U.S. Open title. 96, Steffi beats Monica Seles for her fifth and final U.S. Open crown. Tupac was shot today in 96. He would survive and die 6 days later. Serena wins her second U.S. Open, beating Venus in 2002. Springsteen played his longest concert ever in America today. 4 hours and 4 minutes at Citizens Bank Park in Philly. We lost Mac Miller 4 years ago today. And it was 2 years ago today that Dustin Johnson would win the Tour Championship. I normally don't bring that up.
Right.
But in the live golf world that we're in right now, he won $15 million. That's jump change on the live golf tour.
Come on now. It's not chump change. I mean,
I know.
It's a month's work. I mean, come on now.
Those born today that are no longer with us. Paul Brown. And Louise Suggs, you may not know the name, but she co-founded the LPGA Tour. Al McGuire, the basketball coach, was born today. Buddy Holly would have celebrated his birthday today, and so would have Eazy-E. Those that are celebrating birthdays. Gloria Gaynor, she will survive. She is 79 years old today. Chrissy Hine and Mark McCumber are 71. Shannon Elizabeth is 50. Antonio McDyess is 49. And Kevin Love and Donovan Mitchell also celebrating birthdays today. And that, David, is today was the day when.
Teammates.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's going to be a very good team, too. Young and exciting. Got to give that GM, by the way, credit. I mean, LeBron left 4 years ago, and everybody left with him except for Kevin Love. And they just went to work, bottomed out, got some lottery picks, didn't miss on hardly any of them, made a couple shrewd trades. And now you got a young all-star who gets traded there and celebrates it. And did a good job. Any sport, most GMs can't do what they just did in Cleveland in the last 4
Are they
years.
a contender in the East?
I think they're a top 5 team in the East.
Top 5 team's not a contender in the East.
Well, the thing is, the East is a lot better than the West these days.
All right. Let me just, because forget the whole play-in thing, 7 through 10. I rattle off these 6 teams. You tell me which one of the 6 you don't think's a contender in the East. Boston, Philly, Brooklyn, Miami, Milwaukee, Cleveland.
I think you could even add one more.
Nope, I don't think you can. Not to go to the finals and win. You can't say Toronto. You can't say Chicago. You can't. I really don't think you can.
This is just a sleeper. Atlanta.
No. And it's funny how in 1 year's time, Atlanta can go from 2 games away from the NBA Finals to the 9th or 10th best team in the East, which is how loaded the East has gotten unbelievably quickly. But just,
right,
I'll go geographically: Boston, Brooklyn, Philly, Miami, Milwaukee, Cleveland. I mean, any of those 6 in which you go, no, I can't see you going to the finals.
Not really. I think at this moment in time.
Right. And so that's why I think if you avoid the play-in in the East, which first off, think about it, you're going to have 2 amazing first-round series. If that's your top 6, 3 is going to play 6 and 4 is going to play 5. Damn. I mean, that's damn near as good as the league's ever been in terms of quality teams playing in the first round. You know, that goes back to our heyday of the 80s and, Knicks Pistons, an epic 5-game series, Hall of Famers galore on the court. But so that's,
okay.
I put it this way.
All right.
Put it
You
this
sold
way.
me.
They were in the play-in last year. I think that they're now a playoff team, if you know what I mean. And in the East, that makes you viable. West, not so much.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
The good was difficult to find, and this doesn't have a great ending. It has a good ending. That's why it's just the good. But Kaylee Ferrari was in Sanibel with her family right before they left. Her 2-year-old son lost his teddy bear. And trust me, putting my daughter to bed last night, and we misplaced bear for a while. She's 8, and there was a moment of panic in everybody's eyes. So I get it. Last-ditch effort to find the bear. Kaylee posted the incident on the Sanibel Island Facebook group. All of a sudden, people started trying to help. Fellow vacationers from across America volunteered to search for the bear. Others who lived near where the bear was bought in Tennessee offered to purchase a new one. Unfortunately, the bear was not found. But the good news is that Sanibel will be a vacation spot for the Ferrari family for the foreseeable future because of the way the community rallied around trying to find a bear. So good for them. For the bad, we go to the Florida streets, where if you were driving down I-95 and saw a Jeep Wagoneer trailing with an alligator on its bumper, would you not panic a little bit? And even though the alligator was dead and they may have killed this legally hunting, if I'm driving down the highway and tied to a bumper of a car, I see a big dead alligator, that's about as Florida can get, isn't it?
Now, it's not dragging on the road. It's
No.
car.
Just wrapped around.
Right. The rail. The
yes.
bumper, yeah. I mean, whew, it's a big haul, I guess.
South of Melbourne, it was spotted.
Damn.
And this is, don't have to get the kids out of the car, Ugly, but this is an all-timer for me, Ugly. We go to Adventure of Florida, where family hired Elizabeth Leon to watch their kid, 4-year-old. She's an 18-year-old. The mother texted the babysitter at 11:15 to say she was on her way home and she'd be home by midnight. Babysitter was hired from 1:45 until midnight. The defendant at that point responded back. I should say the babysitter. I kind of stretched that a little bit. But the babysitter said, I'm heading out because mom paid for an Uber to take me back home, and it arrived ahead of time. She told the woman that she locked the door prior to leaving and the child was asleep and requested payment of $168. The woman then reviewed the Ring camera, showed the babysitter leaving at 9:45. When the mother confronted the babysitter about the video via text, she admitted to leaving early and that she was sorry for lying and that she only needed $141. She said she wasn't going to pay her and then contacted the police department. The babysitter's now been arrested for child neglect after leaving a 4-year-old alone for over 3 hours. Wow.
Come on.
She's lucky that mom called the police.
Got that right.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, September the 7th, 2022.
Just fall asleep on the couch.
Right.
7 afternoon baseball games. Twins Yankees play a doubleheader. Mets Pirates play a doubleheader. We were asked in our Twitch chat room when's the last time the Mets and Yankees each had a doubleheader on the same day. Believe it or not, the answer is May 8th on a Sunday earlier this year. But Rays will have great interest in that Twins Yankees doubleheader. Braves will have great interest in that Mets Pirates doubleheader. Mets have lost 3 in a row. Otherwise, we all know the series going on. Rays -170 hosting the Red Sox.
Are the Mets going to Mets and just...
Well, listen, I thought, and I'm a Mets fan, I thought the Braves were the better team. They're 64-28 in their last 92 games for the Atlanta Braves. They're 64-28. Okay? Everybody's talking about the Mets have blown a 10.5 game lead. Yeah, they're above 500 in the last 92 games, are the Mets.
Right. They're both tied for the 4th best record in the game.
But, we'll see. It's 3 days. I mean, I think this 3-day stretch will cost the Mets the division title in the end. I do. Because when you've got games against the Nats and the Pirates, you probably need to win 2 of these 3. And if you're 2 ahead of the Braves, nobody's panicking. Tied with the Braves, everybody's freaking out. We'll do this tomorrow. Great show lined up for you. Hope to have you with us then. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters.